we're joined by a legendary professional wrestler, one of the original Four Horsemen, Ole Anderson. Thanks for being here today with us.
Well, thank you. I'm looking out the door here to see what's going on.
My very first question to you is how you got started in the wrestling business. Were you a fan growing up?
No, I didn't know anything about wrestling. Didn't have any idea. College 4 years, service a little over 2 years. A guy brought me, a guy that I was working out with in Chicago. Do you want to hear a long story or a short story?
Whatever you feel like talking. I got 3 hours with you, so whatever you know.
Okay. Well, I talk like crazy. Anyway, a guy that I was working out with in Chicago was doing some wrestling in Chicago, professional wrestling. And he said, why don't you come with me one night and we'll meet some of the wrestlers over there. And one of the wrestlers he talked about was a guy named Verne Gagne. And Verne Gagne I had met when I was in high school, when I was like a sophomore. I knew Verne had been a couple-time NCAA champion. I knew he'd gone to the Olympics in '48. Anyway, so I was interested in meeting Verne Gagne. So in Chicago, I'm taking the matches, and this guy introduced me to a lot of different people. And of course, one was Verne Gagne. And at that time, I weighed probably 265. And Verne looked at me and he said, you want to get into wrestling? Well, I was thinking about football. But football at that time, 1967, the most I probably could have made would have been maybe $7,000, $8,000, maybe $9,000. And I said, hell, I ain't going to fool around with that. No, that was pretty good money because as a school teacher, which is what I was going to be, I could maybe make $4,500 to $5,000. But what attracted me there was I got 3 months off. And I got 2 weeks for Christmas, and I got a week for Easter, and I got a week for Thanksgiving. Anyway, Verne said, well, where are you from? I said, well, I met you a few years ago in Minnesota. You went to school at the university with my coach. And I told him who it was, and he said, oh, yeah, I remember him. Yeah, I remember. He said, well, you come to Minnesota. Since you live there, come on there, and I'll try you out. At the same time, another guy said the same thing to me, and his name was Dick the Bruiser. And the Bruiser was nuts. And I looked at Verne, I looked at the Bruiser, I said, hell, I'll go to Minnesota. I'm from Minnesota, so I'll go to Minnesota. Verne got a hold of me, and he said to me, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'll give you $500, and we'll split 50-50 over that. And I looked at him, and I said, you know, Verne, I just got out of the Army. I was making $148, I think it was, a month. I said, but all I can do is make $500. I ain't going to do it. And I knew some of the guys who were in the Minnesota Vikings, and they were making like $25,000, $26,000, Carl Eller and different guys. And I said, if I can't make more money, I said, he said, damn it. He said, I told you $500, not a month, a week, and 50-50 over that. I said, oh, wow. Okay. So that's how I got started. Was that the question?
Yep.
I even forgot the question.
Was the training more difficult than you thought?
Was it more difficult?
Yeah.
The only thing difficult about it was that the first guy I worked with or wrestled with was Danny Hodge. And Danny Hodge was known to kill people.
Stretching you and stuff like that.
Oh, God. He beat the shit out of me.
Was he your trainer? Was he pretty much your mentor?
No. I never saw Danny only one time.
Who was your mentor?
The guy that worked with me was Verne Gagne.
Okay, so he was pretty much...
Yeah. Well, see, back then, Verne Gagne used to start one guy just about a year. That was all.
Right.
He started Gene Anderson 1 year. He started Dale Lewis 1 year. He started Ole Anderson. I wasn't Ole Anderson then. I was under my legal name, Rogowski. And I wrestled that way for the first year or so. And I changed that name because I didn't want people to know who the hell I was.
How tough was Verne as a trainer?
He wasn't. In my mind, he wasn't. He made you do stuff. You run around and you do this and you wrestle and all that kind of stuff. But he was a nice, easygoing guy, I thought.
Okay. Is it true you were the first Rock?
Well, I'm sure there might have been a Rock in 1920, but I don't know who the hell it was. But they named me Rock Rogowski. And like I say, I went along with that. No reason not to. And the first day I was on TV was like August of 1967. And the next morning I was living in Minneapolis. I looked out we were living in a duplex, a two-story house, I should say. We were on the top floor, my wife and I. And looked out the window, and here's all these cars lined up and down the damn street. I thought, what the hell is going on? I looked to see if the damn house was on fire. And the people started going, there he is, there he is, there he is. And I was like, and they were all pointing at me. Well, how many Rogowskis do you think were in the Minneapolis phone book? One.
Wow.
And it was me. So they found me. I was at 23, whatever the address was.
Right.
And they just drove there to see who the hell that guy was they just seen on TV the night before. And when I finally joined Jane and Lars, I said, I don't ever want to be known by my legal name again. So it was real easy.
How quickly did you develop passion for booking?
I don't know that, I never call it, there was no passion as far as that's concerned. I just thought I was the smartest son of a bitch in the world. I still think I am. Although now I'm realizing that I'm not, because I'm old and I forget my own name, for Christ's sake. But I started doing things in terms of booking, but I didn't know that's what I was doing. I started thinking about finishes and different things that had to be done. And I realized that the finish had to make some kind of sense to somebody. And a lot of finishes didn't make any sense to anybody. They were just something to do, and that was it. And I tried to put a little more thought into it and to try to figure out. And a lot of bookers, I don't know if you know about booking, but so many bookers, all they do is they put this name against this name and that name against that name, and that's what booking is. That ain't booking for me.
Right.
Booking is to come up with every damn thing from the beginning of the match to the end of the match. And how do you end the end of the match? And how do you do the interview? And how do you do everything? That's what booking is to me. And I'll guarantee you, with the exception of maybe Bill Watts to a certain degree and Verne Gagne, I don't think there's anybody else that really does it. They just put names down.
We're going to get into all the booking because we're going to talk about Georgia coming up and all. Let's talk about your memories of Bruiser and Crusher.
Huh. Bruiser was crazier than a shithouse rat. He would love to fight anybody. And some of the stories I heard, he did fight a lot of people. I'm the toughest son of a bitch in the whole goddamn bar. Everybody looked at him. Anybody want to find out? And most of the people would just say, okay, Bruiser.
It's a lot of fun.
And that's the way it went.
Huh.
And he also did the deal where he supposedly took a beer can and went like this on his head.
Right.
He was doing it for a guy who was a rookie who had just started wrestling or football. And the guy took a beer can, an empty beer can, and he went on the side, did the same thing. Bruce said, well, okay. So he took another beer can and went end to end. Just smashed a beer can up against his head. Let's see if you can do that. And the kid took the beer can and smashed it down to a little piece like that. So Bruiser then took a full can of beer. And now he's going to smash that against his head. And the kid said, you win.
What about the Crusher?
Crusher was just a real nice guy. He was just unbelievably so easy to get along with. But he had a gimmick. He had the Crusher character. He wasn't the Crusher when he first started the business. He'd been in the business for years and years and years, until he finally came to Minneapolis and they came up with a Crusher gimmick. And when he did that, the people just went crazy for him. Got on TV, and the same kind of deep, I can't do it right anymore, but the people just loved him. And they had Crusher for president in different matches. I mean, they really loved the guy.
Memories of Lou Thesz.
Lou Thesz, I never even saw him wrestle, ever. Professionally or any other way. And it wasn't until 2001 I went down to visit him in Florida. And I stayed at his house. And the very first morning he said, would you like to go work out? You got any clothes or whatever to work out? And I said, yeah, I brought my shoes and got some shorts and all that. He said, well, let's go work out a little bit. I says, okay. Well, we went to this gym where he was living. Nobody was there. Mats all over the place, and they had weights. So we lifted weights. And when we got done, he said, would you like to get on the mat? I said, well, yeah, shit. I've been on the mat with Stu Hart, if you know who Stu Hart is.
Yeah, without a doubt.
I got to think for a few while. Well, Dale Lewis and Verne Gagne, of course. Danny Hodge. I've been on the mat with a lot of different guys that were damn good. And Lou, all I knew is what I was told.
Shooter.
And I thought he was supposed to be real good. So the first thing he did to me, I remember it yet, well, it's only, 7, 8 years ago. He locked up with me. Well, fine. And he did something to me that I used to do, but I didn't think he was going to do it to me.
Huh.
Pulled my head like that in and busted my nose. I went, oh, geez. And he went right down and took my legs down. He says, it works every time. And then we just laughed a little bit. And he showed me a bunch of doggone holds that we use to some degree in professional wrestling, but we don't really know where it's supposed to be and what it's supposed to do. And he showed me some of these doggone things. I said, my God. He said, yeah, well, back in the 20s, if a guy did that to you, or even the 30s, you know what happened to the guy that you did that to? He'd probably lose that shoulder, lose that arm.
Wow.
I said, well, that's kind of a serious situation, isn't it? Because he grew up with a guy by the name of Ed Lewis, Strangler Ed Lewis.
Right.
And Ed Lewis was supposed to be a tough son of a bitch. And I saw pictures of Ed Lewis. He just looked like a fat guy to me. But anyway, Lou put him over and said he was the son of a gun. And Lou knew some other guys that I knew were pretty tough that I worked with, Frankie and Lou Taliber, that were pretty good wrestlers up in Chicago. So anyway, and then when I got done fooling around with Lou Thesz knew a whole lot of crap about wrestling.
What about the Duseks? How'd you wind up wrestling for the Duseks?
Verne Gagne sent me down there for Joe Dusek was the promoter. Ernie Dusek was a referee, but he'd been a tough old bastard back in the 30s. And Emil and Rudy were the other Duseks. And I met them all. But Verne Gagne is one that sent me down there, and he wanted me to work down in Omaha. And I wrestled Omaha, I wrestled Minneapolis. The Minneapolis territory included Winnipeg and Chicago. And then Omaha was just Omaha, going up into the Iowa, Des Moines, going up into Sioux City, and of course Omaha and Lincoln. And so I worked there for Joe. And the first guy I wrestled was, his kids wrestle now. His son had some kids, and they're wrestling right now. What the heck is their name?
Bob Orton?
Bob Orton.
Right.
Yeah.
Bob Orton Sr.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I wrestled Bob Orton Sr. And I took the championship from him. And he went out to Nevada, maybe it was. I don't even remember where the hell he was living. But they switched the belt to me. I had just started in August, the last week of August of 1967. And here I am, the Midwest champion or whatever it is in September of 1967 or October. And then I worked with another guy whose kid is here. Gee whiz. Who's another guy that was, well, you don't even know who I'm talking about.
No, I probably do. His kid's here this weekend?
Yeah, this kid will be here.
Steamboat?
DiBiase.
Oh, yeah.
DiBiase.
Right.
That's not his real dad, but Mike DiBiase. I worked with Mike DiBiase. And like I say, they made me the champion and all that kind of crap. And I'd only been in the business for,
right.
2 or 3 weeks.
Wow.
And Gene Anderson got pissed at me. He says, you always goddamn had it lucky. You always goddamn. I said, Gene, what would I do? Turn the idea down that I didn't want to be champion. I didn't want to be in the main events. I wanted to be in the first match for the next 6 years. He said, well, goddamn it, you're a lucky guy. I said, no. You know why I was the champion and why did me? Oh, well, you're just a lucky guy. I said, no. I was pretty damn good.
Talking about Gene and Lars, what are your initial memories of those guys?
Lars went to college. He and I went to the same college, St. Cloud State. That's now St. Cloud State University, I think. I went first to the University of Colorado on football scholarship. They got put on probation and all that kind of crap. They violated all that kind of stuff. Anyway, so that fell through. So I went to the University of Minnesota. Then I went to St. Cloud State. The University of Minnesota made me so pissed off I hated it. And at St. Cloud State, I met a kid who played football for St. Cloud State, and that was Larry Heineme. And the other guy, Gene Anderson, I played against him in high school in football. Our teams, I was at Alexander Ramsey and he was at South St. Paul. They played football against each other. Gene was a year ahead of me. A year ahead of me.
How did your career change once the Andersons actually took off?
What now?
How did your career change?
Well, it changed because we made money. Because the Andersons were over like a mother. You know, Lars and Gene were very good and drew a lot of money. And when I joined them as a six-man, we still drew money. And then Lars wanted to go back to Minnesota. And I didn't know what I was going to do. I had no idea. And Gene said, you want to just stay here? And then we talked to the guy that was running the Carolinas. That's where we were.
Right.
Jim Crockett, the old man.
Senior, right?
Yep. And he said, I'd like you guys to stay here and you can stay as long as you want. And at that time, they used to have a rule, unwritten rule, that said you never buy a house because you ain't going to stay long enough to live in a house. You might be here for 2 months or 3 months or maybe 4 months, but after 5 or 6 months, they'll ship your butt out. Yeah. And old man Crockett said, you guys stay here as long as you want. You got a job.
Did you buy a house?
Yeah, Gene bought a house and I bought a house. But I got dumb, and in 1969, the end of 69, I quit. And went back up, it was in 70 I quit. And I went back up to Minnesota. And I just quit the business. I got a little banged up, and I just said the hell with it. And I went back to work for my dad, who had a liquor place. And I bought some land up in Wisconsin, and I thought that's where I'd stay. And what a miserable damn job. I've been born and raised in the liquor, I've been born and raised in the restaurant business, born and raised in doing all the dishes and beer and all that crap. But here I was, 28 years old, I guess I was just turning 28. And I said, who the hell wants to be in this business? And I got a phone call from Florida, and they said, you want to come down here and wrestle? And I hung up the damn phone, and my dad looked at me and he said, this is going to be a tough doggone business, being in this bar business. He said, you better make up your mind what you want to do. The next morning I got in my car and I drove to Florida.
For Graham?
Yeah.
What are your memories of Eddie Graham?
Smart guy.
Some say he's one of the best minds for finishes.
Yep, he was. To me, he was, in many ways, the ultimate booker. Because he thought about everything. And the only thing I could say is that sometimes he became so involved, and I think I did the same thing, that he would ask somebody after the match was over, he said, well, how did it go? And he asked this guy or that guy, or he had somebody that was stooging. And the guy would say, well, we're good. Everything went just like you wanted. Well, that's what Eddie wanted to hear. Well, that's what I wanted to hear too, but I used to go to the matches all the time. And I'd go to the matches, so I didn't have to ask anybody how it went. I looked at the matches.
Right.
And damn it didn't go right. So I'm sure there was a lot of matches that Eddie thought went right that didn't go right either. And as a result, because a lot of people couldn't quite understand what Eddie was talking about, and they didn't realize how important it might be to do one little thing that Eddie mentioned, because they didn't think that was important. And Eddie used to tell me who was the guy that helped him down there for...
Dusty?
Who?
Was Dusty down there?
No,
it was before.
His son, Dusty.
Jeez, I'll ask you about Dusty later.
Yeah, well, no, a guy that worked in the office for him, with him. There was Charlie Lay that worked in the office that just answered the phone. But there's another guy that was a co-booker, ran the damn tour. He bought in the territory.
Oh, man.
He had two sons. One was real big, Ron, and another son that's like 6 foot tall. This Ron was 6'4" or 5'5". You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
Oh, jeez. They bought Knoxville.
Fuller.
Fuller's.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Anyway, what the old man Fuller's name, he was down there.
Right.
And Eddie used to tell me, yeah, I just let Fuller run it. And I said, well, he just does a bunch of shit. He don't know his ass from a hole in the ground. He said, well, I just let him run it so that people don't have to worry about anything. And then we'll get back to real wrestling. And I'll move Fuller over here and I'll take over again. So Fuller would run it for maybe a month or 6 weeks.
He was in Pensacola, right? I think the Fullers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they lived down there, and now they lived in Pensacola.
Right.
But at that time, they were all living down in Tampa.
Okay. What are your memories of working the Alabama territory as well?
I never worked the Alabama territory.
You were never there? Okay.
Where'd you get that from?
It was one of the questions on the list. I could have sworn.
I never worked Alabama. Verne told me there was a couple places that he didn't want me to go. Never go to Tennessee,
right,
and never go to Alabama. I said, well, why? He said, they don't have any wrestling down there.
Well, yeah, Memphis TV was pretty much all talking anyway. So, what about some of your memories of matches with the Briscos?
I didn't have very many matches. Jack and I think we had, we might have had some tag matches, one or two, but not much.
Okay.
In single matches, I don't think I ever had a single match with. Maybe I did with Jerry. But Jack I liked because he was a national champion.
Right.
And I really liked some of his matches, especially with Dory Funk. Although some people said it was the same match. Well, yeah, okay.
Memories of Bruno Sammartino?
Don't know anything about Bruno. I only talked to him one time on the phone, and then he called me one time because he read my book, and he said he liked the book.
Right. Okay. How tough was the travel schedule back then?
To me, depends on what you call tough, but since when I started out in Minnesota, it was a bitch. I worked one time 40-some days in a row. So I would go to Winnipeg, then I would go to Peoria, then I would go to Duluth, Minnesota, then I would go to Omaha, then I would go to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, then I would go to Fargo, North Dakota, then I would go to Chicago. You try that sometimes.
All right.
You go 3,000 miles a week, you'll find out how tough it is. So when I came down here to the Carolinas, generally speaking, Monday was Greenville or Fayetteville. Tuesday was Columbia. Well, depending, because they had some TVs in there too. Or Raleigh. And then TV was Raleigh on Wednesday. And then Thursday was Norfolk. And Friday was Richmond. And Saturday was Roanoke. And there were some other towns in there, but that's generally where I went. Pretty good. Pretty good run, but not real bad. And it was enough. Well, you were making money, so what the hell else?
Right, right. Now, some of your early trips to Georgia, what are your memories of going to Georgia for the very first time?
What do you mean?
As far as going into the territory itself, what are some of your early memories of the territory?
Well, the first time I went to Georgia was 1974. And Barnett was just starting, and a guy named Louis Thesz was doing the booking, and he just started booking. And I didn't know if I should go or if I shouldn't go, and I got a call from Eddie Graham, and he said, listen, you got a new booker up there, Louis Thesz, just go to Georgia and you'll make money. And so Gene and I said, well, we were going to go to Roy Shire's out in San Francisco.
Right.
And we called up, we sent Roy some tapes, and he said, yeah, he says, you guys come on down. He said, you'll make money. And so that's where we were going to go, until Eddie Graham called me and said, no, go to Georgia, and you'll make money in Georgia. So we went to Georgia, and Louis Thesz was the booker, and I thought he did a really good job. He did one thing that stuck in my mind all these years. You know who Tim Woods is?
Yes.
Wrestling number 1. At that time, Tim Woods was teamed up with who the hell ever it was. Maybe it was number 2, I'm not sure. And Louis Thesz gave us the finish. And the finish was that we were just going to beat the shit out of Tim Woods and pin him, and that was it. And I thought, ooh, because Tim Woods was real strong down here. He was a top babyface. He was the top babyface. And Tim Woods didn't like it either. And Tim Woods was going to say something. And I said to Louis, yeah, and Louis says, That's what I want. That's okay. And by God, we did it, and it did nothing but draw money. Why? Because Tim had never been beaten by anybody. And so because we beat him and beat him so decisively and beat him so without question, the people couldn't believe it.
Right.
And they couldn't wait for Tim Woods to get on the damn microphone and says, I'm going to kick those goddamn Anderson. Well, he didn't say that, but, you know, I'm going to beat blah, 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 blah. And the people went, yay. And then we went for an hour, and he didn't beat us. And the people were just ready to come again. Huh. And so that's when I realized that as a booker, you have to make up your own mind as to what you want to do, and then do it. And I used to tell, well, I'm getting off the track, am I? But I used to tell guys, I said, listen, I'm going to fight my ass off to make money. And that means you'll make money. But if I just try to worry about you, then you won't make money and I won't make money. And then pretty soon I won't have a job, so what the hell's the difference?
Right.
So do what I tell you to do. And if I make a mistake, I'll work my butt off to make sure I make up for that mistake. And I'll do whatever I got to do to make certain that you make money. But in the meantime, you just do what I tell you to do. That's all. And that's the way I did it all the time. And Louis Tillett was just exactly like that, and that's where I pretty much got it from.
Speaking about Jim Barnett, what are your thoughts on Jim Barnett? A lot of people tell us different stories about Jim.
Well, you know, he was gay.
Right.
Which has nothing to do with anything. Jim Barnett was a guy that ran up in Indiana, Illinois, Chicago. And the guy that ran him out was who? You don't know. Bruiser. Dick the Bruiser.
Right.
And he then went from the States to Australia. Ran Australia. He met me and Gene in Hawaii in 1970 on our way to Japan because we were going to come to Australia. And I told him I wanted $1,200. He said, "Oh, that's a lot of money."
Huh.
I said, "Well," he said, "well, maybe some other time."
Everybody does that impression. Everybody. God.
Well, anyway, so we went to Japan, never went to Australia. And then in 1974, like I told you, they sent us down to Georgia. And that's where Barnett was. And Barnett used to hang around. All the guys wanted to talk to him because he's the head boss. I never talked to him. I couldn't give a shit about anything. I was there to make money. And in the fall of that year, we came down there in, when the hell was it? April, I think it was, of 1974. Louis Tillett was the booker. They got rid of Louis Tillett. I have no idea yet why they got rid of him, and they hired Harley Race. Harley Race, I liked Harley Race, but he couldn't book his way out of anything. He was the shits. In my opinion, he was the shits. And so the money went down, 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 down. And what we had been making when Louis Tillett was there, we averaged $1,500 a week apiece. So when Harley came in, he was only there for a week or 2 weeks, and I went to Barnett and I said, "Jim, Harley don't know his ass from a hole in the ground. Gene and I want to go." He said, "Well, you can't go, my guy." He said, "You know, we got you booked." I said, "Well, okay, we'll stay, but there's only one we're going to stay." He said, "Well, what's that?" He said, "You pay us $1,500, what we've been averaging, and I'll stay." "Oh my God, that's all you think about is money." Well, all right. He paid us $1,500 a week every damn week, but the real pay should have gone down to around $500 or $600. And finally, when it got to be the end of October, I think it was, he said, "Boys, I can't afford that anymore." Huh. I said, "No problem, Jim. We'll just go whenever you want us to go." So we left, and he fired Harley the next week, I think it was.
Right.
And he hired Tom Ernesto. And we were going to go, once again, who knows where. And George Scott got a hold of Gene. We're talking about Barnett, aren't we?
Yes.
I know, I forget. But anyway, Barnett was a guy that knew I loved money. And I think he was a guy that realized that I knew a lot of shit about wrestling because I quit him in 1979. I says, I'm out of here. I was so goddamn tired of Barnett driving me nuts.
Huh.
I would never come to the office. And I never gave him my phone number. You know Ronnie West?
Yes.
Ronnie West called me one time from the office. He went to the office all the time. And Barnett walked by and he said to himself, "You're talking to Ole." Oh. So Ronnie got off the phone and he came back to, this is Ronnie telling me, he says, came back, he says, "Ronnie, you were just talking to Ole Anderson, weren't you?" And Ronnie said, "Yeah." He said, "And you called him, did you?" He said, "Yeah." So you've got his phone number, right? He said, "Yeah." He said, "What's his phone number?" He won't give me his phone number. And Ronnie says, "I can't give you his phone number, Jim." And Barnett said, "You'd think you'd give me his phone number. You work for me. Why wouldn't you give me his phone number?" He said, "Well, you just told me not to give a phone number to anybody." And he said, "Not to you." So Barnett never got my phone number. So Barnett could never call me at home. And that's where I stayed. I stayed at home. When I got the bookings done, I went down there on a Friday or whatever day it was, Thursday, and I go, "Here's the bookings.
Right.
Go ahead and print this out," and that's it. And Barnett used to go crazy. He said, "You'd think you'd come down here once in a while. You'd think you'd give me your phone number." I said, "Yeah, you'd think that, wouldn't you?" And I'd just walk away. But Barnett knew that I was, but here's the thing. When I booked for Barnett, he told me when I first started booking for him, if it doesn't sell out on, well, the Thanksgiving was a shot he was looking for. We started in October. If it doesn't sell out in Thanksgiving, he said, you're going to have to find another job.
Well, how did you make the transition from being, a worker in the ring to behind the scenes? How'd you make?
I'd always been doing that.
Right. Okay.
I'd always been thinking about finishes. Always been thinking about how to run things because I saw matches like everybody else saw matches. But to me, it meant something. And to other people, they just looked at them and said, "Well, what the hell is that?" Right. Good, bad, or they weren't critical. They didn't think about anything. But I did. And for me,
as far as psychology goes and all that,
yeah, it was so easy for me just to go. I'd only been in business for a few years. Hell, I was already for Crockett. I did the booking down here, and well, that's later on. I did the booking officially.
Did you simultaneously book Georgia and Crockett at the same time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Find out anybody else can do that?
I was going to ask you, how difficult was that?
Real difficult. It was over 100 guys.
Right.
That was a pain in the ass. But see, I was just going to tell you, when I came down, when I'm here in Carolinas, David Crockett, I was pissed about everything that was going on. And I said, let me just take Greenville and see what I can do with it, okay? Let me run the damn thing. And I think we took Nelson Royal and the guy that got killed up in Canada.
Dino Bravo?
Dino Bravo. Thank you. And those were the two guys I had to work with. And I said, just let me handle it. Let me just do whatever I want to do. And they said, okay. Jim Crockett was, okay. Now, no, I don't think George Scott was a booker. I think it was Johnny Weaver and Rip Hawk, maybe.
Right. Did the Briscos get involved too behind the scenes at one point?
No.
Okay.
Booking?
Yeah. Well, I know they owned a piece of the territory at one point, right?
Oh, they owned a piece of Georgia.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that had nothing to do with booking.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they just don't. So did Bill Watts.
Right.
And so did, oh, gosh. Another guy had 2.5%. But anyway, and well, like I said, Bill Watts had 10%. I bought his 10%. Yeah, but that's all they just had a piece of the damn territory, but they didn't do any of the booking.
Oh, yeah, okay. Grade yourself as a booker in Georgia. How would you rate yourself?
How about the whole world?
I was going to ask you, does it surprise or bother you that like when other guys from today trash you today as a booker?
Who?
Tito Santana. He recently wrote a book, and he said more or less he called you like a racist in his book.
Why do you think he did that?
Probably didn't push him. I don't know.
Well, that's it.
Probably why.
He didn't make a dime with me. Now, tell me where he made money.
Probably just for Vince when he was up there for a little bit.
I don't know. Did he make money up there?
Sure. I mean, they put straps on him and stuff like that, and they give him a big push. So I mean, and probably for
well, do you like what Vince is doing?
Do I like today?
Yeah.
Not at all.
Well, good.
I think the whole business is.
Now, you see, if you say that he pushed Tito Santana and made him a few bucks, but you don't like what Vince is doing now, what made you think he was doing something better back then?
I think wrestling back then was a whole different animal, obviously.
Well, yeah, but you still had to. Let me ask you this question. Would you pay a lot of money to watch Tito Santana?
Maybe if I was a fan of the 80s and I grew up watching and the business was the way it was back then, I didn't know any better, but in today's wrestling world, no. But, I mean, he had a place back then.
I don't have anything against Tito Santana. Nothing against him. But there was nothing, to me, I looked at a guy and I made up my mind what I wanted to do with the guy, and Tito obviously wasn't somebody that I was going to be excited about.
Right.
You're going to have you got a whole lot of guys that worked in the first matches or second matches, or worked in the main events. Who cares where they worked? Were they the guys that could draw money? What else do you go by? I like you. You're a hell of a guy. I like to come over to your house every day to eat dinner. Boy, you're just wonderful. I love your wife, and I like your car. I love your house. But when I put you at the doggone building the other day, nobody came to see you. So why the hell would I do anything with your ass?
Right.
And with Tito Santana, there was nothing. I remember him, but I don't remember much about him. What was there in Tito Santana that would make you say, that's a hell of a guy. I think I could make a lot of money with him.
Right. I understand.
And I took a guy that was just an old fart and made all kinds of money with him called Johnny Walker, wrestling number 2.
Right.
I had a guy who was a hell of a wrestler that couldn't goddamn think past his nose. That was Tim Woods, and made a lot of money with him. But, so Tito, I don't know anything about Tito. But if he didn't like me, he didn't like me. What the hell? But I never used him anyway, so what? I didn't give a shit. But you couldn't make everybody. How are you going to have people working for you? You think the guy at IBM that runs the whole damn place is loved by all of his, unless he just gives them money.
Right.
So I wasn't in the habit of giving anybody money. You earn the money, you get the money. Otherwise, the hell with it.
Who were some of your favorite projects in Georgia that you worked with? Some of the favorite guys that you like?
Projects.
Who are some of the favorite guys that you like to push and drew you a lot of money?
Anybody drew money.
Right.
See, you're confusing. I didn't have to like anybody.
No, I'm not meaning personally like them. Who are some guys that made you money?
Stan Hansen.
Right.
Dick Slater. Dick Slater's gotten in all kinds of trouble over the years, and he's a stupid shit. And he always was a stupid shit. He always acted like a dumb shit, but he could do some good things. And the only thing that bothered me was that he looked exactly like Terry Funk. So if you had Terry Funk on the same card with Dick Slater, then all of a sudden you had a problem. So I didn't have him on the same card.
Right.
But Terry Funk I didn't have very often anyway because he was a champion. But number 2, like I say, number 1, Stan Hansen, I already said, Stan Hansen. You'd have to name some guys because I
I'm going to go through a whole list coming up. What about Thunderbolt Patterson? He accused Dusty Rhodes of stealing his gimmick. Do you agree with that statement or no?
Yeah. Okay. Well, stealing his gimmick or just copying him? Yeah, to a certain degree, yes. See, I never could understand Thunderbolt Patterson either. He did shit that I did. What the hell are you talking about? He used to say, if I just had enough time. Ooh. I said, damn it, you got 20 seconds, you got 30 seconds, you got a minute. For Christ's sake, say what you want to say. If I could just say what I want to say. But here's the thing. It always drew money. So what are you going to do? And that's where you have to go ahead and swallow some of your crap. And that's what I did.
Right.
Because the guy was drawing money. And I was going to say this because I'm going to induct into the Hall of Fame thing or whatever it might be. But I'll just tell you the same thing. I worked with him up in Greensboro, the first match I think it was, between he and I was scared to death. You don't remember what Greensboro was like in 1965 or 66 or 67 or 68. Talk about racial.
Right.
Big time. Big time. So here I'm working in Greensboro, North Carolina, with Thunderbolt Patterson, the first time ever. And I thought, my God, what the hell is going to happen? We were heels. People hated our balls. But I was afraid of I went out there, they'd just go, or they might cheer me. I wasn't sure what was going to happen. And then I thought, sure as hell, Thunderbolt Patterson comes out, they're going to boo the hell out of him.
Huh.
Because these are a bunch of racists. That's all there is to it. I walked out there, and they booed the hell out of me. I said, whew. So I wonder what's going to happen with Thunderbolt Patterson. Thunderbolt Patterson came out, and they cheered the hell out of him. They said, kill that damn Swedish son of a bitch. Kill that Swedish Norwegian. What the hell ever has been that Scandinavian? Kill that bastard. Perfect.
Wow.
Perfect. And we had hell of a, it was a sellout. Everybody says sellout, but it was a sellout. I think I even got pictures of the damn thing. But it was a hell of a house. And that's where I realized that Thunderbolt Patterson really had something that was very important. And the important thing was he drew the damn people.
Right.
What else was there to talk about?
Huh.
And he had several matches with several different guys. And they all drew. Well, one guy's here, Rip Hawk.
Right.
And I just talked to Rip about it just 2 hours, 3 hours ago. And I didn't say this to Rip, but what I'll say tomorrow, if I remember what I'm talking about, is that, yeah, we were drawing money there, but Thunderbolt Patterson with me, Thunderbolt Patterson with Rip Hawk, Thunderbolt Patterson with Sweet Hansen, Thunderbolt Patterson with whoever, sold out all these damn buildings. Well, did I do it? No, it was Thunderbolt Patterson. That's the guy that drew the money.
Does it bother you when Vince McMahon gets the credit for having the very first national heel announcer when you had Piper?
Say it again.
Does it bother you, I guess, when Vince McMahon gets all the credit for having the very first national heel announcer when in Georgia you had Rowdy Piper?
National heel announcer?
Remember, well, he put him on TV as far as, well, you actually had the very first one, but Piper gets a lot of credit.
Who cares?
Okay.
Piper, well, hell, I did some announcing on the damn TV. Was that hell?
I was going to ask you, who gave you the idea of putting Piper into the role?
Well, he didn't do it I don't even know what you're talking about. What year were we talking about?
Maybe
Had to be while I was here. It had to be in 81 or 82.
Yeah, it was the early 80s. You did the angle with him and Don Muraco and Gordon Soley?
Shoot, I don't remember even anymore.
Really? You don't remember this?
Well, Piper to me was a guy that I really liked at first, and he did the one thing that I couldn't forgive him for.
What's that? Right. So you couldn't just work with him anymore, it was pretty much... All right.
I didn't realize it at first, but he did right in front of me. And I thought... And it finally got to the point where he missed a town, which was 30 or 40 miles away from his house.
Right.
And he came late to the next damn town. And when he walked in, I just said, get the hell out of here. And he had a good deal with Barnett. Barnett was paying him $3,000 a week back in 1980, whatever it was, 81 or 82. Barnett was paying him $3,000 a guaranteed a week. Pretty damn good money.
Oh, yeah.
And I told him, I said, you're out of here. I said, you got two choices. You either get in your damn car and get the hell out of here, or you stay here and we'll go through your bag, and then we'll go out to your car, we'll go through your car. And then when you get out of jail, we'll talk about it again.
Huh. So obviously
he got in his car and he left.
Yeah. What about Don Muraco? What are your memories of working with Don?
Nothing much. Don wasn't even, I can hardly remember even, I guess he did work for me for a while, but I'm not even sure if that's correct. Did he work for me or do you know?
Yeah, he was in there for a little bit.
Yeah, it had to be right when I first started, I guess.
Yeah.
And he must have left.
What about, do you have any memories of when Hogan came into the territory?
Hogan? What a joke and a half.
Why is that?
A guy called me up and told me he had a kid that looked great. The guy that called me up was Gary Hart. You know who Gary Hart is?
Yes, without a doubt.
Gary had worked for me, and Gary had been working in the business for years and years and years before me.
Do you consider him a good booker? Not to get off the subject, but...
I told you there's only one person that I think of that's worth a booking, and that was Verne and Eddie Graham.
Okay.
And Bill Watts.
Okay.
And after that, to me, there's no bookers. They're
Okay.
just people that put names down. That was it. What did he do? I don't know. But anyway, he called me up and he says, I got a hell of a kid down here. I said, can the guy wrestle? He said, boy, he looks good. I said, can he wrestle? He said, boy, that kid looks good. He's about 6'4" or 5. I said, can he wrestle, goddammit? Gary, shut the hell up. Can he wrestle? Boy, he looks good. I said, all right, send him to me. 1978, I think it was. And, the guy's name was Terry Bollea. Well, Terry Bollea showed up. Looked good. Big kid. I gave him a name. What's the name I gave him? Do you know? Sterling Golden.
Okay.
You remember that?
I do remember the name now.
Anyway, I gave him the name Sterling Golden. He thinks it was Barnett, but he didn't know nothing about anything anyway. And he worked for me for roughly 1 week. He was horrible. Horrible. Great big kid, no argument about that. But he couldn't do anything. And I really didn't want to take a lot of time trying to teach him how to do something, because I was trying to make money and not try to teach somebody. You know, I had enough trouble trying to teach somebody that already was working without trying to take somebody that just completely, just couldn't do a damn thing. Well, so he left me. I called up Vince McMahon, this one's father. I said, I got a hell of a kid down here. He said, yeah, what's he like? I said, he's a hell of a kid, looks good. He said, well, what's he like? Well, he's a hell of a kid, he's got a hell of a body. I did the same thing that Gary Hart did to me. But they liked it, and they took him. They used him for a while, and then they got rid of him, and they sent him to where? Do you know?
He went down to Memphis for a little bit, but then...
yeah, then where did he
go? Verne.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who taught him what little he knew? Verne Gagne. Verne was able to work in a town and not come back to that town for 4 or 5 or 6 weeks. In Georgia, we came back to town every week. That's why you couldn't do the same thing every week.
Right.
But Verne could work one town and then not be there for 6 months and work it again. So a guy that was a klutz could get by.
Right.
And he tried to help Terry Bollea become something more than a klutz. And what he then did was sent him to Japan, just to get him out of Minneapolis.
For Inoki? For Inoki?
Probably, yeah, I don't remember. Yeah, I don't. It was Nokia Low at that time. I don't know if it was Baba or not. Well, what year would it have been? It had to be 1979, maybe? Anyway, whatever year it was, and I'm not even sure if that's correct. But then I think Vince got a hold of him in Japan. I think that's the way it went. And he promised him the world. So Verne had already figured he was coming back to Minnesota and had planned on him coming back to Minnesota, but he didn't. He went to New York.
Right.
And they changed. Did they change the name before that, or did they change it at that time?
I think they changed it at the time. He came in as a heel, managed by Blassie, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, he came Hulk Hogan.
Right. Then he went back to Verne, and then he went back to Vince, I think, in '83.
Okay, yeah, okay. He was at Verne's with Hulk Hogan, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then he went to Japan, and then Vince took him. Yeah.
Right.
And here's what I say about Hulk Hogan. The only thing he knows how to do in wrestling is this. That's it.
Some people say, as far as wrestling ability, he has none. But do you consider him a good worker?
Well, what do you call a good worker? I mean, that's a hard thing to define.
Right. Exactly.
Does he draw money? Yeah, he drew some money.
Right.
So what else do I care?
Exactly.
But he was so limited in what he could do, in my opinion, that when you had a town that you had to run week after week after week after week after week, we ran Atlanta, and 12 miles away we ran Marietta. How long do you think that Hulk Hogan would last in Marietta and Atlanta?
It would have been exposed.
Then go 90 miles down to Macon, then go 80 miles down to Columbus. No, you got to have people that know what the hell they're doing. If you're up in New York, like old man McMahon called me years and years ago, he said, we just sold out Madison Square Garden. I said, how many people do they hold? He said, 16,000 people. I said, well, that's pretty good. I said, but you know what? We just sold out the Omni. And it seats 16,000 people. I said, where are you going next week? He said, well, we don't run it next week. I said, how about the week after that? He said, well, we don't run it that way either. I said, well, when are you going to run New York again? He said, well, we'll come back in about 4 or 5 weeks. I said, well, that's the difference between New York and Atlanta. He said, what's that? I said, we run Atlanta every week. And we run Marietta every week.
Right.
That's 12 miles away. And we run Carrollton every week, and that's 55, 60 miles away. And he went, oh. I said, so you're drawing $16,000 people a month. That's good. I said, but we're drawing 16,000 people in the Omni once a month. Then we're drawing 10,000 people the other 3 weeks. So now we're looking at 48,000 people. Now you're looking at 3,000 people up in Marietta times 4.
Right.
That's 12,000 people. You're looking at 60,000 people in the city of Atlanta that go to matches every month. I said, but there's one big difference. What's that? I said, Atlanta's got a population of around 600,000 people. What's New York got? 7, 8 million?
Right.
He hung up.
Now, you had a long-lasting friendship and relationship with Verne Gagne. Did you guys ever have any falling outs at all?
Never.
Never? Okay.
I still talk to him.
Okay.
And he's screwed up now. He's got
he's
Alzheimer's.
Yeah. What are your memories
I
about...
just talked to him last week.
Really?
Yeah, he remembers everything 40 years ago. Can't remember what happened yesterday.
What about Nick Bockwinkel? Some of your memories of Nick?
Nothing really, because he wasn't around when I was around. He was there. I never worked for when I was there. Nick wasn't working.
Okay.
And when I left, that's when Nick came in.
Memories of Bill Watts as a colleague in the ring.
Say it again.
What are your memories of Bill Watts as a colleague in the ring?
As a colleague? What does that mean?
Working with Bill Watts, what was he like?
We only had a couple matches as a tag team. And Bill knew more than I did. And I was just starting out, you know. I'd only been in the business for a couple of minutes, and they teamed us up. So there was no argument. There was no disagreement. There was nothing. I mean, there was nothing to be said. And we just didn't. We never did anything. You know, we met in the ring or whatever it might be, or in the dressing room, and that was all there was to it. He was a guy who knew a lot about wrestling, and that's about all I can tell you.
And you obviously respected him for when he ran Mid-South.
Oh, he did do some good stuff.
What are your memories of one of the greatest angles I think you probably ever put together was Tommy Rich and Buzz Sawyer, which is still talked about to this day as far as being one of the greatest wrestling feuds in wrestling. What are your memories of that whole, you know?
Tommy Rich and Buzz Sawyer?
Yeah.
Well, tell me what it was. I don't remember anymore.
It was the angles that you guys did with all the street fights and brawls and stuff. It was one of the, last man standing.
Somebody just told me about another one, and then somebody else told me about another one. So they thought they were the best, and then you think that's the best, so what the hell's the best?
Any thoughts on the Tommy Rich Buzz Sawyer feud?
I don't remember it even.
Really? What about Buzz Sawyer as a person? A lot of people that we talked to said he was out of his mind.
I loved the kid. I thought he was a great kid. I liked him because he was a pretty decent worker. He had a pretty decent interview, and he had some background in actual amateur wrestling.
Right.
But at the end, and I really wasn't aware of it because I didn't realize these guys were all smoking dope or taking dope, because I never hung around the guys.
Right.
You know, I went to my room and I worked my ass off to goddamn do my book. Like I told you, I had 100-some guys working for me at one time. You just try to put 100 guys on the damn card to see what's going on, you'll go nuts.
Huh.
And that's what I was doing on a daily basis, so it was really hard for me. Plus, I was making all these damn towns. I was driving all over, flying all over. So
right.
Buzz made it to the show like everybody did, and if he was there late, I would fire the bastard. That's all there was to it. So they always made it, and they were always on time, and they always had pretty decent matches. And I liked Buzz, so I didn't know that he was smoking dope or taking dope or whatever he might have been doing. But it turned out that just about everybody was. But again, I didn't know it, and because I didn't hang around with him. So I liked the hell out of Buzz Sawyer. But there were some guys that hated Buzz Sawyer. Briscos, I think, hated Buzz Sawyer. I think I'm right on that. But Buzz was able to do an interview, and he could work enough, and he could wrestle well enough in a match to draw the damn people. Well, what else am I going to go by? So that's what I went by. But then it became obvious that he was all screwed up. And I fired him. And he went home. He lived in California, I think it was. And several months later, in fact, I sent him up to Carolinas one time, that's what it was. And they screwed him around and all that bullshit, but maybe he was on dope, I have no idea. But anyway, so he went to California, and after, I don't know how many months or a year, he called me up and said, I'm straight now, I'm okay. Would you take me back? I said, yeah. So he flew from California to Georgia, and the first damn day, we were on TV, the first damn day he was all screwed up. I paid attention to him. He didn't have an idea what the hell was going on. And I said, get your goddamn ass back on that plane and get out of here.
Wow.
And he went back to California. I fired him again. And then I never heard another thing out of him until the day he died or the day after. Some guy called up and said, Ole Anderson, yeah. He said, Buzz Sawyer just died. Jeez, that just hit me. He said, you know, he always talked about you like you were his father. He said, you always did so much for him. You were such a great guy and all this BS, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But Buzz liked me, and I really liked him too, but he just did stuff I just couldn't tolerate.
Tommy Rich, as far as when you guys put the strap on him, that was pretty much Jim Barnett's decision, or was that a...
Jim Barnett, because I wouldn't have done it. But the other thing was that Jim just had to put it somewhere. They wanted to get it off, and they wanted to do something with Tommy Rich.
Right.
And at that time, if you remember, you talk about angles. When I started Tommy Rich, well, he's still nothing. 180 pounds. I don't know what the hell he is. He never lifted a damn weight in his life. He never had a bicep. He never had a tricep. He never had any leg. He never had anything. But I recognized something about him, and I said to him, I put him in the first match with, who did I put him in the first match with? Do you remember? Do you know? Abdullah the Butcher.
Okay.
Abdullah, I said, don't beat the hell out of him. Just give him one move or whatever it is, 2 or 3 minutes, and you pin the kid, and that's it. Don't stomp on him and beat the crap out of him anymore, because, no, you just beat him, and that's it. So they beat him, and I told the guys in the dressing room, I said, go down there to help Tommy Rich. I told the referee, give Tommy Rich a hand up. And I said to Tommy, you'd be struggling, but when the referee comes over to grab a hold of your arm or whatever, just go, push him away. Just say, no, no, no.
Right.
And when the guys try to get in the ring to help you, just say, just leave me alone. Let me just lay here for a second. So Tommy just laid there, and he struggled like hell, and he pulled himself up on the second rope. Then he pulled himself up on the top rope, and he stood there, all beat up. And he watched Abdullah going out the doggone deal like that. And the people went.
Right.
Barnett said, get rid of him. You've killed that kid. I said, Jim, just shut the hell up. Just wait.
Right.
The second week, I put him out there with Abdullah again. And Rock Hunter was Abdullah's manager. And Rock Hunter says, it's your fault. You guys that put these matches together, the promoter, Paul Jones, it's your fault. We may kill this kid. We're not going to get... Okay. Abdullah went out there, and Tommy just threw one punch. Abdullah just kind of went like that. The people went nuts. Then Abdullah came back and beat Tommy Rich again. Barnett said, oh my God, you've killed him. You've killed him. He's not worth anything. He'll never draw a dime. You've just killed him. I said, Jim, will you just shut the hell up? Just wait. Put him in there the third damn week. The third week, Tommy did the interview. I told him, I said, listen, just tell the doggone people that you were raised by your parents. You may not be the smartest guy in the world. You may not be the toughest guy. You may not be the biggest guy. But you never say no. You never, ever give up. And that's the way he did his interview. I've never seen him, but that's the way he did his interviews. And so he went out to the third week, and this time he punched Abdullah. Didn't just come out, punch him.
Right.
But he hit him a couple of times, and Abdullah did a couple of staggers like this. He still got beat again. And Barnett said, my God, you beat him 3 weeks in a row. I said, he said, get rid of him. He's not worth anything. I said, Jim, will you just shut the hell up? Same thing again.
Right.
So now Tommy gets back on there and gives his interview. He says, I'm never going to give up. You may have to kill me. He says, but I am never going to quit. I'm never going to give up. I want to wrestle you again. And now Rock Hunter's all excited. He said, what's wrong with that kid? What the hell? We beat him and that's it. There's nothing left for him to do. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. But we made Rock Hunter sign Abdullah to a match against Tommy Rich again. But that was several weeks later.
Right.
And that's how Tommy Rich got over like a mother.
Made him big time. I'm going to switch tapes real quick. What are your memories of Jake the Snake?
At the beginning, he was very good. What he was doing was, I didn't realize that a lot of guys were all doing drugs. I told you that already. But he did good business for us, I think. And it was at a time when everybody apparently was all drugged up, and I just was too damn dumb to know that. Was he? I don't know. Did he get in trouble? Yes. I got him out of a couple of things, and I just overlooked whatever the hell was going on, and because he did a pretty decent job. Don't ask me specifically what was going on because I really don't remember anymore. But he did enough job that I liked him and that I kept him and he worked for me.
How did you discover the Road Warriors, Hawk and Allen?
I went to see a movie. It was called The Road Warriors. That was back in the 80s, early 80s, 81, whatever it was, 82. 81, I guess it was. And I'd seen the movie, and I would never do that. I mean, the way I worked, that's BS. But I got to thinking, and I said, you know what? Maybe there's something I could do to get a tag team, because I was thinking tag team. And I called a guy that I knew up in Minneapolis, Eddie Sharkey, who was an old timer, never made any money. But he'd been around wrestling for 1,000 years. And I said, can you get a couple of guys up there? Pretty good sized kids, look good, pretty fair athletes. And I want to line some guys up, if you will, for me, and then I want to pick 2 guys out. He said, yeah. So he called me up. He says, I'm going to have about 15, 16 guys. They all work at Grandma B's restaurant. They're all bouncers. Pretty tough kids. Some of them are fair athletes. One time, high school football, track wrestling maybe. So come on up here and take a look at them, like 15, 16 guys. So I came up to look at them. They were all lined up like this. And I shook the hands of the first one. The guy says, oh yeah, I watch you all the time, Ole Anderson, boy. I just watch you. You're so wonderful. Second guy, Ole Anderson, boy, I tell you what, yeah, when I watch you, yeah, you really were. Third guy, Ole Anderson, boy, you really are great. The 10th guy was Mike Hegstrand. He said, you don't look too damn tough to me. I said, uh-huh. I left, got done with all, and I went back to Eddie Sharkey and I said, one guy I really want. That's the guy that gave me that shit, you don't look too tough to me, and that was Mike Hegstrand.
Right.
He said, okay. I said, well, I got to have another guy. And the other guy I'd already used before, Joel... Laurinaitis.
Yeah.
So Mike Hegstrand was the reason that I took to both of them, because they were both buddies and all that kind of crap. So I said, I'm going to make you into a team, and I'm going to call you the Road Warriors. They went, what the hell are you talking about? I said, just goddamn listen to me and just shut the hell up. I said, I got to have a manager for you. And I had a kid that was working for me at that time, Paul Ellering. I wasn't doing nothing with Paul. There was nothing to do with Paul. He was just under the bottom matches, and that was it. So I went to Paul, and I said, Paul, I want you to be... It's either do what I say, or I'm going to have to let you go. Well, he says, okay, he needed to work. He never made any money in this business. He says, yeah, what do you want? I said, I want you to be the manager of the Road Warriors. You seen that movie, Mel Gibson and all that crap? I don't know if you'd seen it or not.
Mad Max.
Huh?
It was Mad Max, I think. I know what you're talking about.
What are you talking about?
Well, it was the Road Warriors, but I think the movie was actually called Mad Max.
No.
No, there was an actual Road Warriors?
I think the movie name was Road Warriors.
I thought it was Mad Max. But go ahead, it doesn't matter. I know what exactly you're talking
no,
about.
No, but I think it was Road Warriors.
Okay.
The first one I think was Road Warriors.
Okay.
Had to be. I would never know that. I don't know nothing about Mad Max.
Right.
But anyway, so I said, you be the manager, the Road Warriors, and these are guys that be the Road Warriors. Okay, and they went, that ain't going to work. But what I did is I put them in the ring on TV, and I had them work maybe 2 or 3 minutes. Don't beat the shit out of the guy. My deal is always this. If you hit a guy 42 times in the face, something ought to be wrong with that face.
Right.
The guy either ought to be dead, or he sure should have been falling down a long time ago. So how can you hit a guy 42 times in the face? You can't. So I tried to tell them, I said, listen, if you are finally going to go throw that one punch, just throw one punch, and let that guy sell the hell out of them, one punch, and then you beat the guy. That's it.
Right.
And that's what we did. And they got over like a son of a gun.
What do you say to the critics that say they hurt the business by not selling at all? What do you say to your critics that say, they didn't sell for anybody and it hurt the business?
Who didn't sell for anybody?
In the beginning, Hawk and Animal. Even in
well, wait a second.
Not when you first...
Hold it.
All right.
Stop in 2 seconds. If I punched you in the face, let's just say I punched you twice.
Right.
What would you do?
I'd be selling it. Well, in real life?
Yeah.
I'd be hurting.
Yeah, you'd be on the ground.
Right.
So they're bitching because you didn't hit me back?
Well, they're saying not in the beginning. They're saying in general in the wrestling matches that a lot of the guys, when they would work them, when they were like getting,
They went short matches. They went 10, 11 minutes, maybe 8 minutes.
Right.
That's all they ever did. So what are they looking for? They're looking for the guy, the Road Warriors, to be big and tough son of a guns and sell for this little guy who can't do anything?
Right. No, I understand totally the philosophy and stuff. I'm just saying those critics are,
Well, how much do critics make?
What's that?
I made $250,000 a year. You got a critic there that made the same amount of money, then I'll listen to him.
Right. They're other workers, so it's not,
Well, who's the workers? You got to give me a name.
I know the Midnight Express talked a little bit about working them sometimes, and they're, never sold for them.
Oh, okay. Well, wait a minute. Now you're getting into a different situation. If you're talking about main event matches, and sometimes they didn't sell much.
Yeah, I wasn't talking about when they first came in. Obviously, you're giving them a big push. And you don't,
Yeah. Okay.
Right,
Okay. Well, see, wrestling is so easy,
right?
But it's so hard.
Exactly.
You don't know it either.
I know what you mean.
So you have to go ahead and tell me all the situations that you're talking about.
Right.
So if you're saying, well, the Midnight Express, or who the hell ever you want to talk about, if they were a pretty decent team and they weren't out there just to do the job, they were out there to have a decent match, then you'd be right if the Road Warriors didn't sell out a little bit.
Right, exactly. That's what I meant.
I agree.
Right, okay.
I agree. Now, what in the world am I going to do except chew the Road Warriors out? Was I there at that match? If the Midnight Express says I was and I was watching the damn match, then it's my fault.
Right.
But if I wasn't there because I was running 2 or 3 or 4 towns every damn night, so you tell me how many towns can I be in at one time?
Right.
How many can I be in?
One.
Yeah. So what do I do on the other 3?
Right. Actually,
so I can't be everywhere is my point. So I didn't see every damn match. And maybe I might have been in the building, I just didn't see it. Or maybe I did see it, and I just said to the goddamn Road Warriors, I said, you dumb shits. And that's about it. Let it go. But to be able to have the Road Warriors sell a little bit for somebody, yes, and they probably should have.
Right.
But I'm not looking at the match, so I really don't know, and I don't know. And Midnight Express, I don't see him working the Midnight Express very often.
Right. This might have been it might have been Stan Lane when we did the Midnight Express interview, and he might have been talking about when he worked him as the Fabulous Ones with Steve Kern for Verne. It could have been that.
Could have been, because they went up there for Verne.
Yeah. So, what about?
And stop and look at here. Steve Kern, I think I've got it right. Gene and I wrestled number 1 and number 2 for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks.
Right.
Tim Woods was a hell of a wrestler. Number 2 was a pretty tough guy. We wrestled for an hour. We just wrestled and wrestled. Harley Race booking. Put us against Steve Kern and who was his partner sometimes?
Stan Lane?
Maybe he was. 2 young kids that just broke into business.
Right.
And Harley said, I want you guys to put these guys over on TV. I said, what are you talking about? I said, we just got through working week after week after week with wrestling number 1, wrestling number 2. Wrestling number 1 is a hell of a wrestler. And now you're going to put us against these 2 kids that just got into business a month ago, and you're going to you want us to put them over? He said, well, the people will never expect it. I said, if we're going to go on that theory, I said, listen, next week when I get in the ring, I'll pull my pants down and shit right in the ring.
Right.
I bet the people don't expect that either. But I bet it don't draw any money. Huh. And I was so pissed off at Harley for that. But we went out and did just exactly what he wanted.
Right.
It didn't go anywhere. How could it go anywhere?
Right.
Those 2 kids didn't even know how to tag, for Christ's sake.
Let's talk about Stan Hansen. What are your memories of teaming with Stan?
He was one of the clumsiest people I ever knew. Potatoed me more damn times than I want to talk about. But he had that something that drew people to the matches. And like I told you before, what else do I care about? Beat the shit out of me, Stan, if you want. If people come to see you do it, what else do I care? And he made money for me.
Why do you think you walked out on Verne?
To be honest with you, I don't know. He's the only one that, well, a lot of guys call me nowadays, but he calls me all the time and he says, you're the one I got to thank because I used to shoot his ass out all the time. He's one of the very few guys that saved the money in this business. He made money and he saved money. A lot of these guys made money, but they pissed it all away. But he doesn't have to worry about anything. He's doing fine.
Did you ever get to work with Bruiser Brody at all?
Yeah.
What are your memories of Frank?
I fired him right after I got him.
Why is that?
He was a good friend of Stan's.
Right.
Very good. They worked together a lot of times. Bruiser Brody did some shit that was so stupid, he put a light bulb in his mouth. He said, that way the people will think I'm crazy. I said, why did you do that? He said, well, that way the people think I'm crazy. I said, no, that people think you're a dumb shit.
Huh.
Who the hell puts a light bulb in their goddamn mouth? What's the point of it? What are you trying to get across? Oh, I said, fine. They get across someplace else. He went to Puerto Rico or where the hell he went.
Right.
I fired him after a week or 2 weeks. To me, he was. Stan liked him. Stan thought he was great, but I never gave credit for Stan for having any brains either. So what the hell? He was talking about Bruiser Brody. Well, what the hell does that mean?
Right.
But Stan made money for me, so that was okay. But Bruiser Brody, he did something that was really terrible here. I forgot what the hell it was exactly. I don't remember.
Okay.
Something that stands in my mind, but I can't remember what the hell it was.
What are your memories of first meeting Arn Anderson?
Arn Anderson did jobs for me back in 1980 or 79 or whatever it was. That was all. He came with a bunch of guys up in the western part of Georgia. And that's all it was. He was just a job guy. And his name was, what's his real name?
Marty Long.
Marty what? Lundy.
Yeah.
So that's all I know him by. And somewhere around 82 maybe, or 83, I'm not sure when it was, Ric Flair said there's a guy that he knows that's going as an Anderson. Marty Lundy from Rome or where the hell ever. And I said, yeah, that guy used to work for me a little bit, did TV. That's all he did, TV. And we beat him and went home. And he said, you guys could team up, and Gene was long gone. And I was either going to quit or I had quit. I don't remember which it was. I was getting out of wrestling. I was just hell with it. I was going to booking, but I didn't want to do anymore. So Rick is the one that set me up with Arn. And he was already wrestling as Arn Anderson. So, okay, we just became a tag team. And I tried to teach him what I knew about tag team wrestling. And at one time he gave me credit for saying I taught him. Whether that's true today or not, who knows. And that's all. And he was, to me, he was very much like Gene. Arn worked an awful lot like Gene, if that makes any sense to anybody. But that's the way I looked at it. He was very much like Gene. But he had one extra ability that Gene didn't have or didn't care about, because he said, let Ole do the talking, that's all. Ole does everything, that's it. But Arn could talk.
Right. Okay. You get along with him to this day?
I haven't talked to him in years.
Okay.
Have no idea.
Okay.
Do I get along with Flair? No. If the bastard would die right now, I'd be pissed, but only because he died right now. I want him to die slow.
Why is that?
I hate the bastard. I got to be careful when I'm doing this on the TV, so I'll back up.
No, it's okay. You can talk at the shoot, so you could...
Yeah, well, I don't want anything else to happen. He lies about everything he does. He's owed me money for years. He'll always owe me money. I used to give him money all the damn time. He's the only guy that could have $1 and spend 200. He thinks he's the greatest worker in the world, but he wasn't. And I think I already told you, when I went to book up in the Carolinas, I got rid of him. I made him champion. Why? I didn't want him. And the same match that he has every night as a champion now would be covered because he'd be in San Francisco one night. The next night he'd be in Texas. The next night he'd be in Iowa. The next night he'd be in Miami. So he could have the same match every night and it wouldn't make a difference because nobody'd give a shit. Nobody'd know.
Right.
But when you got a little place like this where you're in Marietta every night, every Saturday, I should say, or every Sunday, you're in Atlanta every Friday or every whatever day it is, you're in Columbus every Wednesday, you're in May. Those damn towns can't stand the same guy day after day after day after day. New York can get away with it. Charlotte can get away with it a little bit, but not Georgia.
What's going to happen tomorrow if you actually run into him?
What now?
What happens tomorrow if you guys actually run into each other? Just turn the other...
I don't think we will, but if we do, I'll do like the last time I saw him. I didn't talk to him.
Was that at Jersey at the autograph session like a year
What
ago?
now?
Was that like maybe 10 years ago at the autograph session in Jersey? You guys?
Yes.
Okay.
You remember that?
Yeah, I was there.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, he kept chasing after me.
Huh.
He was a piece of shit then. He's a piece of shit now. He's always been a piece of shit. I shouldn't say always, because at one time I liked him. He and my wife's brother were friends. Then he broke into the business. This is after me, what, 72 or 73, whatever it was, I don't remember.
Right. Down for Verne?
Yeah.
Brad Reagan's.
And see, at one time, Verne only broke in one guy a year. He broke in Gene one year, he broke in Dale Lewis one year, he broke Ole Anderson one year. But when Rick was there, he decided to get 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 guys.
I think Sheik.
Because he wanted to make some money.
Right.
Yeah, Sheik, Rick, hell of a good athlete that was up in Minnesota. I forgot his name.
Brad Reagan's?
Who?
Brad Reagan's?
I don't know if Brad was in at that deal or not, but good athlete, yes, good wrestler. Bob, he was in a plane crash with Ric Flair and Johnny Valentine.
I should know this. I'll think of it.
Okay, but anyway, so Verne broke in a bunch of guys. And what the hell was the question?
We were talking about Rick.
Okay. He broke in a bunch of guys. Rick was one of them. And Rick came down to the Carolinas, and we took him as our cousin, Gene and I. And we did everything we could to teach him, because the guy didn't know nothing. Well, of course not. Nobody knows anything. So we put him in the ring when it was advantageous to him to be in the ring. And we started screwing up after a half a minute or a minute. We'd say, tag out. And we'd go back in and cover it up or whatever it might be. I liked him. He had the one thing was true. He did have a certain amount of flair. He did have something. And the whoo was brand new. And the people liked it. And like I told you before, if the people like something, I don't give a damn. The guy could be the worst asshole in the world. But if they liked it, good enough for me.
Right.
So it went like that. And then we finally left the Carolinas. 76, we came down here. And I sent Steamboat, Ricky Steamboat, up to the Carolinas. And George saw him, liked him. Rick apparently saw him, liked him. They were short of heels. We were gone, and John Valentine was all screwed up. So they needed to make some more heels. And Rick was the guy. And everybody apparently liked what Rick was doing. But when I had Rick a couple of times, or when I'd see him, I said, "My God, that's I thought the matches were horrible, and I thought he was horrible." And we were still okay. And then Crockett asked me to book up there in the Carolinas in '81, I guess it was, and Rick was there. And so the first thing I wanted to do was get Rick out. And I thought he'd make a good world champion because, like I said, world champion doesn't wrestle in the same town every night or every week. He wrestles in a different town 1,000 miles away or hundreds of miles away. So the same match will work for the world champion.
Right.
He dresses well. He does a good enough interview. He carries himself well. So I said, that'd be fine. So I helped to make him world champion, called up Eddie Graham and all of it. Have I already said this before?
No, this is all new stuff.
Okay, well, anyway, so Eddie Graham, I can't remember who the hell, I think the champion was Jack Briscoe.
Might have, yeah, okay.
Well, then they changed it to Dusty, I think it was, because didn't he take the belt from Dusty?
In '81, I think.
Yeah, but they just, exactly. But they just gave it to Dusty so he could take it away from somebody besides Jack, I think. So Rick became the champion. And he sent me a pair of cowboy boots and sent me a nice letter. He was so happy. I wasn't pissed at him yet. I just didn't want to have to book him because I didn't want to put up with that same damn match all the time. Well, as time went on, he got to thinking that he believed what he was seeing that he really was. And in 1983, surely by 1984, the NWA, forget about it. It was gone. Vince McMahon had taken over. It was the end of everything.
Right.
But Ric Flair was still champion. But champion of what? Representing who? Representing what? He doesn't understand that. He thinks he's the greatest wrestler in the whole damn world. I have no doubt about it. He thinks he's better than anybody. Okay, well, we may all think that. But to me, he's a drizzling shits. But what I really didn't like, and I got to be careful. I'll just quit talking like this because I'm going to get in trouble. He just did things that I know about I'll give you one example. Some kid at TV said, this week, Green Bay is playing the Vikings. Who do you like? Rick was from Minnesota. Well, I'll take the Minnesota Vikings. Kid says, okay, I'll take Green Bay. What do you want to bet? Rick says, well, what do you want to bet? And the kid says, well, $25. Rick says, $25? What the hell is that? Make it 100. Kid don't have 100. Kid's doing TV. He's making $25 damn making a TV. And I listen. I happened to hear it. I was going by, and I told the kid. He says, "Well, okay, $100. $100. Next week, Minnesota gets beat. Oh, he also gave the kid taking Green Bay like at 14 points. Minnesota's going to win. Minnesota got beat by Green Bay.
Right.
So the kid says, oh, well, I guess I won, didn't I? Rick says, what are you talking about? Well, I bet you on that Minnesota-Green Bay game, I said, you gave me 14 points and you're going to take Minnesota, but Green Bay beat them, so you owe me $100. Rick said, get the hell out of here. What are you talking about? I never made a bet with you. And there again, I was in the damn room, and I said, listen, I was here when you made the bet last week. I said, just pay him the $100 and shut the hell up.
Right.
That was Ric Flair. And he did a lot of shit. He owes me money.
I hear you. Let's talk about your memories of Black Saturday when WWE took over TBS. And how did you find out that the Briscos sold their shares?
Well, I knew it right away.
Do you think Barnett was in on it too?
Well, sure, because what happened to Barnett, or do you know?
Well, go ahead, you can tell the story.
Where was Barnett at that time?
I don't remember.
Barnett was no longer working at Georgia Championship Wrestling. Did you know that?
I don't remember.
Okay. Anyway, I was in charge of everything.
Right.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, then what would Barnett do?
Well, he's pretty much the money guy.
No.
How
much money do you think he had?
I don't know. I don't know who his backer was or anything.
Did you think he was a millionaire?
No. I really don't know.
Well, he told everybody he was.
Okay.
No. When I told Verne Gagne that I thought he was a millionaire, Verne Gagne said, is he telling that story again? Now, did he make money? Yes. Did he have $1 million maybe at one time? Maybe so. But he had too many boys that he had to keep track of.
Right.
He spent a lot of doggone money. And he pissed money away like crazy. And so he was out of the damn corporation. He was a stockholder yet, but he had nothing to do with it. He had nothing to do with it anyway. When he was even here, he had nothing to do with it. I ran every damn thing. Only now he was officially just out of it. And but he was smarter than me because he went to work for Vince. And he asked me for $1,500 a week, I think it was. And I wouldn't give it to him. I said, hell, you got millions of dollars. What do you need $1,500 a week? I said, this damn company's in a lot of trouble. And it was. We were in a hole, like $600,000. We were having a hard time.
Right.
And he owed TVs all over the damn place. He didn't pay. So I told this to the Briscos, and they went along with me, and we voted them out, and that was it. But the Briscos wanted money right away. And they weren't smart enough to realize that you had to pay this money back or you're going to lose your damn TV places. They just didn't really understand that. So anyway, then Barnett was smart enough to call them up half a year later, or 3/4 of a year later, I think it was, and talk them into selling to Vince McMahon. I have no idea what Vince McMahon paid him. I don't know.
Did you have any conversations at all with Vince at this period of time, or no?
With what now?
Did you have any conversations with Vince at this?
With Vince?
Yeah, at this period of time.
No, not until he offered. He bought me out too. I sold mine. I said, the hell with it. When they sold theirs,
right,
that took everything away from me. I wasn't in control anymore. There was a deal in the bylaws for our corporation that said if a majority of the bondholders or stockholders decide to change all the damn rules that are written up here, there's 50,000 million rules, they can do that. So Briscoes got together with Barnett and Barnett's buddy, and they had 51 or 52%, and they just changed all the rules that we'd been going by for years. And the lawyers told me they couldn't change him. And the lawyers didn't know their ass from a hole in the ground either. So we lost it because the lawyers, and Barnett was smart enough to realize that he could have done it. And I didn't know. Well, anyway, so Briscos went along with him, and I was pissed at Briscos. And they got whatever money they got. And what the hell was the question?
We were just talking about what were your memories of Black Saturday when Vince took it over?
Oh, well, he took it over, that's all.
Right.
No big deal. See, we also got another TV right away. But not Vince, but Ted was told by McMahon, been told that quite often, that the wrestling that he's got, Georgia Championship Wrestling, is run by me, a Polak. I don't know nothing about nothing. And Ted Turner, the guy that was working for Ted Turner, Vince flew him up there, wined and dined him, limos, and
Right.
I never did that. Well, I didn't have that kind of money to throw around, but Vince McMahon did. And so it made it look as though I was really a dumb shit. Didn't know anything, was a poor son of a bitch that managed to take over, but didn't have any money. And when I went to Vince McMahon, to Ted Turner later on, I said, who do you think's been running this damn thing for the last 8-9 years? Me, this dumb Polak that don't have any money. Are you making money? Well, yeah, but he was convinced by McMahon that they could do a lot better job. So he put McMahon on the TV, and then we were off that hour, those hours that they had, and we were on another hour at 7 o'clock in the morning, I think it was, 7 or 7:30 to 8:30, I forgot which one it was. But hell, at that time, it was all screwed up. And McMahon ran it for what, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, I don't know how long it was. Nobody watched it. So he went off the air too.
Right. And then Ted, you got your own program.
And then Ted was convinced, or persuaded, I should say, by Barnett to buy Vince out. I never got a nickel for anything. And when I started at Black Saturday you're talking about, I couldn't use Georgia Championship Wrestling because Vince had title to that. So I started a new show. What was it called? Do you remember?
Was this TBS Saturday Night Show?
No, it's called World Championship Wrestling, WCW.
Okay.
You ever hear that?
Of course.
That was my company, WCW. And when we finally went out of business in 1985, I think it was, WCW was mine and two other people that were promoters down in Columbus, Fred Ward and Ralph Reed. So we owned WCW. Well, in 1988, when Barnett persuaded Ted Turner to buy Vince out, they thought they were buying WCW. Or no, wait, that's wrong.
You're talking Crockett.
Yeah, well, no, but that's wrong too. Turner started running a program called WCW.
Right.
But it wasn't theirs. It was mine and the other two guys. So I called up Turner's people, and they said, okay, well, we'll pay you then. And the figure was somewhere around $200,000. Okay. I can split that 3 ways. I can live with that.
Huh.
A couple months went by, nothing. So I called up again. Only now the guy that had been in charge was no longer in charge. They gave me another name.
Right.
The other name says, okay, we'll work something out. We'll buy you out. How's that? I said, fine. You offer me $200,000? I'll take it. All right. That went on for a month or so. Nothing. I called up again to find the guy that I just talked to. Well, that guy's not here anymore. They did that like about 4 times. Finally, I just said, piss on it. So I got myself some attorneys because I knew attorneys up the ass. Anyway, the attorneys thought, that's a hell of a deal. We'll make a lot of that guy. I said, you make as much as you want. I want the name back. I want to be able to be on the TV with that name. You take all the money. I don't care. I said, well, don't worry, but there's plenty of money. You'll get some money. Okay, fine. 4 or 5 weeks later, the attorneys called me up and said, we're sorry, we can't handle your case anymore. I said, why? Well, we didn't know that Ted Turner was one of our clients. I said, I could understand you don't know that kid. Or you don't know you, or you don't know me, or you don't know her.
Right.
But how do you not know who Ted Turner is?
Right.
I got 3 or 4 different sets of attorneys, and they all came back with that same crap after 3, 4, 5 weeks and said, we're sorry, we didn't realize that we were already attorneys for Ted Turner. I said, what a bunch of shit. So I thought what must have happened is that they were offered money just to forget about it and draw up some kind of a contract that made it look like they'd been beholding to Ted Turner for the last how many years. And that way they could just say to me, stick it up my butt. And that's what happened. So I finally just gave up everything.
What about, talk about the politics between Dusty and Ric Flair when you were in the locker room. Did you see the politics and the tension between the two?
I wasn't around them.
Okay. Was it hard to work for Crockett after booking Georgia and not be a booker when you started working for Crockett?
The only thing that was hard about it was the fact that he had 2 brothers, one brother in particular, David, that used to drive me around. And they were always picking at me. They were always trying to find out what's going on. And they were trying to protect their money. I don't argue that. But they had their own ideas, and they sometimes wondered if what I was doing made any sense. And no matter what I might have done, there might always been some little reason why they didn't think that would be quite right.
Right.
Are you sure you can, do you think this will, are you certain that I'm not certain of anything. I know that I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and I know that I think it'll work, and if it doesn't work, I'll work my ass off to do something else that, again, will hopefully work. But how can I guarantee you any damn thing? Go ahead, you run it. You guarantee me. I can't. Nobody can. But they got me because they thought I knew what I was doing. Whether that was true or not, who the hell knows? But it got very difficult. And like I said, I was also running Georgia. And that was really hard because when's the last time you had 100 guys you had to run?
Right.
It was a son of a bitch. And so finally, I just said, to hell with it. In the meantime, Jimmy was tired of me. And he said, you finish up. And I said, well, you want a couple of weeks, whatever. He said, no, right now. I said, okay. And he hired who?
After
Dory Funk. He didn't have Dory Funk very long.
Right.
And then he hired the other guy that put him in the toilet. And that was Dusty Rhodes. And I told David Crockett way back then, I said, Dusty Rhodes is going to put your place in the damn toilet. He said, it's already in the toilet. We're going out of business. I couldn't believe that he told me that.
We'll talk about that coming right up. Now, when you came in as the Horseman, whose idea and how did the whole entire Four Horsemen come about?
As far as I know, it was Dusty Rhodes. And he's the one that called me and wanted to be a Four Horseman. I had no idea what he was talking about. I said, no, I don't want that shit. I'd quit already.
Right.
And he said, well, you'll make nothing but money. And I think I told you already that they said that Iron Sheik made $90,000 for 1 quarter. Hulk Hogan made $120,000 for 1 quarter. So multiply it times 4, $480,000. I can live with that,
Right.
And I was sitting there with Arn when we got our first check. We're sitting at the TV station. Got our first check. Guess how much it was?
I have no idea.
Something around $40. We were getting screwed a little bit. See, we had no contract with anybody.
Right.
It was just a word,
Handshake deal.
So whatever happened, whoever got the money, it wasn't me and it wasn't Arn.
Did you like working with the Horsemen? With Tully and Arn and Flair?
To begin with, yeah. To begin with, okay. I got to remember when I got mad at Tully. I got mad at Tully too. Still hate the bastard. And Flair was just Flair.
Why did you hate Tully?
Huh?
What was the heat with Tully about?
I don't like guys that lie, and he used to lie. He did lie to me about some things. He was supposed to make it to a show that we had at the Omni, and he didn't. And I advertised him and all that kind of crap. Then he claimed he wanted to be paid because he was advertised and he didn't get any money. I said, well, you didn't show up. And he said that he'd gotten religion and he was preaching all over, and he couldn't be connected to wrestling. I said, well, isn't that interesting? I said, so you gave me your word that you were going to be here, but now that you're working for God, you can lie to me and not show up, and that's okay, but you can't go ahead and dissociate with wrestling anymore. Well, anyway, bullshit. So I got pissed at him, and that was it.
Let's talk about your matches with Arn against the Rock and Roll Express. What do you think made those matches so good?
I don't remember anything about any of those matches.
Really?
Nothing. All I can tell you is that when we first had the match with Rock and Roll Express, I looked at him and I said, my God, what the hell is this going to do? Two little guys. I said, I didn't know. And we worked with them the first night. I think it was in a outdoor ball field, and it was sold out. Maybe 5,000-6,000 people. I'm not sure what the numbers were, but it was sold out. Hell of a little house. And the Rock and Roll Express did two things. They listened, and they knew how to sell. And I was so surprised that the house was so damn good, and I was so surprised that the people believed what they were doing. You know, we sold for them and did what they had to. But they were real good matches because they were so full of piss and vinegar. And when you stopped them, they sold. They did a good job. They just did a good job on everything that they did. So we made nothing but money. And I thought it was Dusty trying to screw us because he didn't want us to work in the big towns with the big names. He put us with two guys that nobody ever heard of.
Right.
But we drew nothing but money. And he was in these other towns, and they were trying to figure out how to get some people in the damn place. And we were drawing all the damn money. But they were real good. They were real good.
What about working with Magnum today? What are some of your memories working with Magnum?
I don't remember even working with him. Did I? You'd have to tell me when. I really don't remember.
Okay.
Was he? Yeah, he was decent though. He was good. In fact, I remember I was right beside him, driving down the damn road, and I told him later on. I said, "Listen, slow that damn car down. You're going to get yourself in an accident. You're going to be sorry." And a week later, or what it was, he had the accident.
Right. You left the Horsemen. Was that because you wanted to leave the group, or was that company wanting you to turn babyface? Or?
I was just tired of all the bullshit. Like I told you, they gave us $40 when we were supposed to get $90,000. I thought, or $80,000, or $70,000, or $60,000, or $50,000, or $40,000, maybe, or $30,000, even $20,000. I would have been happy with. But I got a check for $40-some or whatever it was, or less than $40. I don't remember exactly what it was.
Right.
I just told them to stick the whole damn thing up their ass.
Did you like working? I guess with Rick in the ring, or when you did the turn, you guys worked a couple times.
I just don't have any memory of it. I really don't remember.
Okay. Let's see.
You say he and I worked as a tag, or you talking about the Four Horsemen?
No. When you guys worked the singles match after you guys had turned on each other.
What did you say now?
Didn't you guys work a little bit after the Horsemen split?
I don't think so.
Some tag matches and stuff? No?
I don't know if we did. If you do, you have to remind me. I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember working against him.
Dusty wrote in his book that Vince Sr. wanted him first to be the top babyface when he went national. Do you think that the WWF would have been as successful as they were with Dusty instead of Hogan?
Huh?
Okay, let me reword this. Dusty wrote in his book that Vince Sr. wanted him first to be the top babyface when he went national. When Vince Sr. went national.
Is that before Hulk Hogan?
Yes.
Well, shit, Dusty was... The only place Dusty was over at all was here on Atlanta TV.
And Florida a little bit.
Huh?
And Florida. Right. Okay.
Well, but I mean, did Vince McMahon want him? I don't know. Ask Vince McMahon. I don't have any idea. Why would he want him? I have no idea.
If you could just have put someone over as world champion in '96 over Ric Flair, who would you have put in there?
Say that again?
Okay. If you could have put just one person over Ric Flair in 1986, who would that person be?
Who would be world champion?
Yes.
Who would I like to be world champion?
Yeah, in '86, who would you have put over Ric Flair?
Give me some names because I can't think of anybody.
I don't know. I mean,
if they were working for me, I wouldn't want them to do anything. If I wanted them, I wouldn't want them to be world champion. I made Ric Flair world champion because I didn't want the bastard. Okay?
Right.
So you're saying, who would I want to put over Ric Flair? I'd want to take somebody that wasn't worth a shit and let him put over Ric Flair.
No, I'm asking who would you want to replace Ric Flair as world champion in '86? If you could,
Somebody who wasn't worth the shit, somebody who I didn't want again.
gotcha. Okay.
See, if I wanted you, I didn't want you to beat Ric. I don't want you to beat Ric Flair.
Right.
If I hate his guts, that's why I want to beat Ric Flair. Because I don't like him anyway, and I don't need him. He won't draw me any money. So let him go be champion.
Right.
That's why I made world champion out of Ric Flair. Because I didn't want him.
All right. You just wanted to send him
Do
off.
you understand that?
Yeah.
I wanted to send him off.
Okay.
And when I did that, I didn't hate him then.
Right.
I grew to hate him.
I understand. Okay. Memories of Lex Luger. What are your thoughts of Lex when he first came into the company? He was trained by Hiro Matsuda down in Florida. Then he came up and they put him with the Horsemen.
Big, tall, used to play football or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a piece of crap.
Why is that?
Because he was. Don't ask me why he was.
A lot of people say Ole Anderson is very bitter at the world. What do you say to the people that say Ole's bitter?
Who cares?
All right.
Does everybody like you?
Absolutely not.
Well, there you go.
Exactly.
What's the difference?
Okay.
Lex Luger was, to me, a guy, when he got hurt, one time I remember he got hurt, he stayed out for like a month and a half. I know guys, I got sliced over 100 stitches in my chest that thought that I was going to die. I missed one damn day. And I went back to wrestling. I ripped these damn stitches out every damn time, and I had to get stitched up again. I got sliced on my hand here. My thumb isn't any good. By another guy. I never missed a day. They put a cast on my arm one time. Said that cast is indestructible. Can't do it. Wahoo McDaniel stomped all over that cast and broke the damn cast in my arm again.
Huh.
I never missed a day. But Lex Luger, oh yeah, he'd miss 2 weeks, he'd miss 1 week, he'd miss 3. He was getting paid no matter what he did. Didn't make a shit. To me, he was just a waste of time.
After they turned you babyface with the Horsemen, you didn't stick around very long in the company. Why was that?
I didn't want to be around anymore.
Okay.
What the hell was I be around for?
You did come back eventually, and you guys reformed the Horsemen and feuded with Sting. Was there ever a chance that Tully would have gotten involved again?
Who?
Tully Blanchard? Because he had left the company, and he went to work for Vince, and then he got fired from Vince.
Good.
Right.
I hate him too.
But there was never a chance that he was ever going to come back into the company, or you don't really remember that?
Listen, I left the damn thing in what year was it? When were the Four Horsemen? 1986?
Yeah.
That's when I left.
Okay.
That was it for me. My son was wrestling, amateur.
You came back in '89, though, I think, a little bit.
I came back in '89 to be with Arn.
Right, and that's when
And the idea was we were going to work with the, who were the two guys that were wrestlers? Steiners.
Right.
We did an angle with the Steiners in January, December of what's the year now you just told me?
'89, we're talking?
Yeah, 89. We did an angle with the Steiners. Maybe it was in January of 1990. I'm not quite sure what. And we expected that to be real big. It was a hell of a deal, I think. But Arn broke his damn neck. And we went down to St. Pete. The first match, I think it was packed, but we couldn't wrestle. And that ended the whole damn thing. Arn had to do what he had to do to take care of his neck. And that was it. And the whole thing just died right there.
What are your memories of Jim Herd?
Think of the worst thing that you can think of. Think of the worst words that you know. Think of the dumbest people that you've ever met. And that would probably be not enough to describe Jim Herd.
So you like the guy?
He told me, I want to hire you, and you do like I say. I said, but you do the booking. I said, all right, I'll do the booking. I said, if I book and it doesn't work, I said, you can say it's my fault because it is my fault. I said, but if I'm booking and you tell me what to book and it doesn't work, then you stand up for it and you say that you're the one that made that decision. Not me. You made the decision, so you take the blame for it. So he was always telling me shit. I said, Jim, that ain't going to goddamn work. That just ain't going to work. Well, that's what I want. I said, okay, Jim, remember this. We agreed. If it doesn't work and they come asking, you make sure that you say it was your idea, not Ole's.
Right.
Okay, well, So the first damn screw up that he made, the head boss, what was his name? Do you know any more names over?
Kip Fry was there.
He was Jim Herd's boss.
Kip Fry, but then no, he took over for Jim.
Nah, Kip Fry was
he
a
took
damn
over for
nothing.
Jim.
Who was his boss? Well, anyway, I can't remember. But anyway,
Siegel? No.
Who?
No. I was gonna say.
You'd never see him on TV, nothing like that.
Yeah,
he was on the board.
I don't remember.
Okay. Well, I don't know if I can remember it or not. But anyhow,
wasn't a Brad Siegel, right?
No. You got names that don't come from that.
Yeah, exactly. Just scratch that one. Huh.
Anyway, something happened that Jim Herd made me do, and it didn't work. And the guy came down, the head guy came down and wanted to know what the hell's going on. And Jim Herd said, well, you know, I'm not the damn booker. That's why we hired Ole Anderson. I didn't know about it right then. I didn't know it till later that day or maybe the next day. And I was in Jim Herd's office. I was so goddamn mad. I went like this and I hit that damn door and broke the damn door. I was just, and Jim Herd was just, he didn't know if I was going to jump him or what. And I was real close to just beating the shit out of him. And I was smart enough. I said, And Jim Herd then got scared and got worried, and he knew I wasn't going to take a bunch of shit. And so what did he do? He fired me and hired Dusty Rhodes. And Dusty Rhodes always told him what a great guy he was and how smart he was. And even if he didn't do any business, as long as Jim Herd was a real smart guy, everything worked.
What are your thoughts on when Ric Flair left with the title?
What now?
When Ric Flair left the company with the title and went to Vince?
Well, see, the problem right now with that is this. Who gave it? Who was in the NWA at that time? What year are you talking about?
This might have been 91, I think.
Good. Who was in the NWA at that time?
Worker-wise?
Promoter-wise. Do you have any idea what you're talking about?
Yeah, Dusty and all. No.
Piss on Dusty. What promoters do you know that were in the NWA in 1991 or 1990 or 1989? Who do you know was in the NWA at that time?
Ted Turner owned it. Go ahead.
Do you think there was a promoter out in Los Angeles? Do you think there was a promoter in San Francisco?
What?
Do you huh?
No, it was one guy.
Quit being so damn dumb.
Go ahead.
Do you think there were any promoters in 1950, or do you think there was just one promoter?
No, there was a lot of different territories.
Good!
Right.
So, how many territories were there in 1989 or 1990?
There was only two, probably, major ones, but then there was the little minor ones.
There's no such thing as a minor one.
Well, you know what I mean.
No, you don't know what I mean.
The two national ones.
They used to have meetings every damn year out in Las Vegas, NWA meetings.
Right.
There hasn't been any meetings since 1984, I think. Why? Because there is no NWA anymore.
Right.
Well, right, then what the hell are you talking about? So Ric Flair was a champion of what?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Right.
Nothing. He couldn't go to Don Owen up in the Oregon because Don Owen wasn't in business anymore. He couldn't go to Roy Shires out in San Francisco because Roy Shires wasn't in business anymore. He couldn't come to Ole Anderson and Jim Barnett in Atlanta because they weren't in business anymore. He couldn't come to the damn, what's his name? Name anybody you want to name. Name anybody in the whole damn world. He couldn't even go to Verne Gagne because Verne Gagne was out of business.
Right.
He couldn't go to Eddie Graham because he was out of business. So where was Ric Flair going to go?
Vince, that was it.
There was nowhere to go.
Right.
So what did he walk away with? He walked away with something that nobody gave a shit about anyhow. So who got hurt? And see, he always talks about how great a champion he was. Champion of what?
How did you wind up moving back into booking?
When did that happen?
Well, I guess when Sid Vicious was in there, and then Sid went into
That's 1990.
Yeah.
Well, that's because I was working for Turner.
Okay.
Ted Turner hired us in 1989.
Right.
That's when Arn hurt his neck. We were going to wrestle with the Steiners.
Right.
He hurt his neck, and he had. Guess who he had booking at that time? Here's a good question for you. Who was doing the booking at that time in 1990?
In 90, well, it was a committee, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Who?
Cornette, Flair. There was like 5 guys on the panel. Sullivan, maybe one of them.
Yep. 3 guys.
The other 2 were.
No, 3.
It was just so I got them.
Cornette, Sullivan, and Ric Flair.
Right.
They were doing the booking.
So you know who's getting pushed.
Jim Herd fired those guys. And who did he hire?
This is after the committee? You.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Well,
stop. Just ask yourself a question. Don't be so damn dumb sitting behind this camera.
go ahead. What was the question?
Well, what does it mean? He fired Sullivan, he fired Flair, and he fired, who's the other kid? The manager?
Cornette. Right.
He fired them. And he hired me. So what do you think he was thinking?
Obviously, you know more about wrestling than those guys.
I would say, obviously.
Right. Now, I guess Barry Windham was in the company. What are your thoughts of Barry at this period of time?
I left when Barry Windham came in.
Okay.
I left before Barry Windham came in.
Did you like working with Sid?
Pardon me?
Did you like working with Sid? Not in the ring as far as...
Sid Vicious?
Yeah, I mean, what did you think of him as a talent?
I liked him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think the Horseman franchise has been tarnished since they tried doing the Horsemen with different guys replacing one another? Do you think it never will work?
Well, of course it was screwed up like that.
Right.
Yeah. Having all these damn guys, that was a bunch of BS.
Okay.
You see, the other part of it is, I was there when it was just 4 of us, and we got a $40 check.
Right.
So what good was that? I said, that's all we're going to get. The hell with it. I don't need to be here.
When you were at WCW, how hard was it to book at that time with the corporate influence? We talked a little bit about...
Well, wait a minute. Now, what are you talking about, WCW? My company?
Yes. No. WCW, Ted Turner, it's WCW. This is in 90, when you were booking, after the committee.
Okay, what's the question?
I was going to ask you, how hard was it to book now that you had the corporate influence that didn't know anything about wrestling? We talked a little bit about Jim Herd and not knowing anything about the business.
Well, Jim Herd was always a problem no matter what the hell was going on. So it didn't make any difference what you want to do. If he was in charge of something, then that's where you were screwed. And when the corporations got involved in it, Turner, then everybody at Turner hated wrestling. They didn't want to be associated with wrestling. They didn't want to have anything to do with any wrestlers. The only guy that knew that it was a moneymaker was who? Ted Turner.
Yeah.
And Ted Turner owned the damn thing, so that's why wrestling was there. But everybody that worked for him hated wrestling, hated wrestlers, didn't want a damn thing to do with them. But Ted was the one that made it happen. So the problem was when Ted finally ended up owning the damn thing instead of just me putting my TV on there, now it was his material that we were using and with his people that were running everything. So we got to a point where no longer did my opinion mean a damn thing. Only opinion that meant anything was theirs. And that's where Jim Herd came in. And I said, well, okay, if I suggest it and it don't work because you didn't want me to do it, then you make sure you take blame, take responsibility, and that's fine with me. He says, well, and when the first thing went to hell,
right,
he blamed me for it, and it was his damn fault. But he didn't take responsibility, and so what he did is he fired me, and he hired Dusty Rhodes.
How hard was it to go up against Vince back then?
Vince?
As far as competing with WWF?
We competed against them up in Pennsylvania, New Jersey. We ran a big show up in...
Meadowlands?
Yes.
Steamboat Flair?
Yes.
All right. Okay.
We used the kids that were from Puerto Rico. That was their names. I've even forgotten. Me, Crockett, and the kids from Puerto Rico, whatever their names were,
right,
2 guys. And we put 6,000 people in the damn stadium. But we were also running against Vince up in Cleveland, well, all of Ohio.
Right.
And I think I told you the old man, or did I say it?
You were telling me, I was listening to you, yeah.
And I just said, the old man, I said, we're going to go up to Cleveland, do you mind? He said, go ahead. He said, we never draw a dime up there. We sold that damn thing out all the time. Every bit of wrestling, like when we went everywhere, well, we had wrestling. See, Vince never had wrestling.
Whose idea was it for the Black Scorpion? Where was that going to go?
We look at the crib, look at the ring. When you see the Black Scorpion, now you'll know who the real champion is.
What exactly was the storyline?
Good enough?
Yeah, it was good. Do you remember that? Okay.
I used to go off camera and do that, blah, blah. I did it just as a joke and a half. Herd was after me because he didn't like the damn card that I put together for a bunch of matches. And he said, didn't like him. I said, that's what it's got to be. That's all. Well, he said, he wanted to see something else. He said, he didn't like all that damn crap that you got on that damn card. So I went back to my office and I wrote down Black Scorpion and Sting, or who the hell ever was.
Right.
and one or two other names. And I handed that damn card back to him. He said, "Now you're learning." Because I put down the Black Scorpion.
Right.
He thought that was the answer. And I didn't even know what the hell a Black Scorpion was going to be. I had no idea. No idea at all. So what I did to begin with, if you ever saw I don't think I got tapes of it.
Yeah.
I just had everybody dress up with a mask or whatever it might be and called him the Black Scorpion. And then I went off camera, with a microphone.
Well, Sting.
And did my little BS. And that's how we worked the Black Scorpion. But when he fired me, finally, the Black Scorpion only been in effect for about maybe a month and a half. And it was getting over, for Christ's sake. That was the funny thing about it. I thought it would...
Right.
And I did a couple double deals up in Cleveland, I think it was, or maybe it was Columbus. I don't remember which it was. But I did a deal where one guy was dressed up like the Black Scorpion, and he disappeared. I had a guy who was a magician. I forgot how the hell he did all that crap.
Right.
But the guy just disappeared, and there he was on the stage automatically. Another guy dressed up as a Black Scorpion.
Right.
But the people thought, holy balls, here he was right there in the ring, and he just disappeared. And he showed up over there. They thought there was really something. And I thought, well, I hated the idea to begin with, but it was my idea. I said, it's working. People are buying it. Piss on them. Let it go.
Who did you actually want to put in that mask in the end?
I can't tell you exactly what I was thinking, but I know this. Dusty screwed everything up. He took it, and from me. I don't remember all the different things I was going to do, but I had some really involved bullshit to begin with. And I think one of the first things I was doing was that it was Rick, right?
Yeah, it turned out to be Rick in the cage.
No. That was Dusty's shit.
Right.
Who was he working with? With anybody who was the Black Scorpion? Who was he working with? Anybody in particular?
No, the whole program was supposed to be built around Sting.
Okay. Well, I was going to have Sting then pull that mask off, and whoever it was going to be. Not Ric Flair. Ric Flair, that was Dusty's. He screwed everything up. I was going to have him pull the mask off. And whoever it was, everybody would think that's the guy. It'll be just you or anybody. Don't
right.
Damn. And then you'd hear once again.
Well, Sting, we fooled you once again.
Or whatever the hell I was going to do.
Right.
And then have the real Black Scorpion, supposedly, show up on the stage or wherever, and Sting looking at the guy and realizing now he's made a mistake, that he didn't really get the real Black Scorpion.
Right.
So he's got the same damn problems he's always had.
Gotcha.
And I don't remember all the different things I was going to do, but I had a whole bunch of crap. And Dusty Rhodes came out and just made it Ric Flair, and that was all.
Yeah.
And it just ended.
You think Sting was a good hand?
Yeah, he was all right. I don't have a lot of memory, but he was good enough. I used him on top, and he was a good kid. Okay. I remember this, that he was, he saw me years ago.
Go ahead. I'm asking for a tape. Go ahead.
Is this working?
Yep, go ahead.
Maybe something I've been sitting here all this time and there's nothing going on. Well, I'll be pissed.
Yeah.
What were we talking
about?
about?
Sting. I said it was a good hand, and you started talking about him.
Yeah, he was all right. Yeah, he was all right. I can't tell you right now. I don't have that much memory, but he had to be good enough, otherwise I wouldn't have used him.
Okay. Is it true that sometimes you would judge your talent in hopes that they would quit? Some people would say that.
No. Younger talent, hope that they would. Why would you want to do that? If they were any good, no. Why would you do it? Why would anybody do it?
Are you surprised guys like Mick Foley and Brian Pillman went on to be as successful as they were?
Yep. Mick Foley, to me, didn't know his ass from a hole in the ground, but later on what he did is he put everything he had into it. And I give him credit for that. But my God, the stuff that he did was so stupid it didn't make a damn bit of sense to me.
Right.
He just killed himself to go ahead and make people see a big killing. How's that? He was a nice enough kid. I remember him asking me if he could stay in my hotel room. I said, no, get your own goddamn hotel room. But he had no money. And I think several different times, I think he just slept on somebody's floor. But I wouldn't even let him in my room. I said, get your own goddamn room.
Huh.
But then he made it big time, and so
right.
I didn't dislike him. He was an okay kid. And he learned a little bit, but it wasn't the type of wrestling that I would appreciate,
What about The Undertaker? A lot of people said that you had him in the company at one point.
What the hell was his? What's the name before that?
Mark. You mean Mark?
Yeah. What did I call him?
Mean Mark, I think it was.
He's a big kid, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I might have talked to him about being kind of like Johnny Valentine, if I got it right. I think because he was a big kid and all that, and I said I got an idea, and I think he's the one that I wanted to try and make like Johnny Valentine, where he wouldn't get real carried away with all the crap that he did, but he just do good, solid stuff. And then I wasn't in charge anymore, or he was shipped out, or whatever the hell it happened to be. I don't remember.
Okay. Were you surprised when Jim Cornette and Stan Lane quit?
To tell you, I don't remember when the hell it was anyway.
Okay.
Jim Barnett was, all right. He even had a few ideas, I think, maybe once in a while. Stan Lane was just a young kid. In fact, I told you already, Stan Lane and the other guy were the ones that, I think, are the ones that beat us. Maybe I got those names wrong. I'm not sure.
Right. Okay.
But anyway.
Is it true that a lot of the younger guys were demoralized after you squashed Tom Zink to Vader?
After what?
After Tom Zink got squashed by Vader? The locker room.
Tom Zink got squashed by Van Vader?
Right. He was the Z-Man, I believe. And
what happened?
I think Vader went up and squashed him pretty much, and a lot of the guys in the locker room who were his size figured that, they were never going to get the big push or anything like that because of their size, and that you were, booking the big guys pretty much instead of the smaller type guys.
What's the theory that you say you've got?
There was all right, let me repeat the question. Is it true that a lot of the younger guys, maybe you don't even know about it, but is it true that a lot of the younger guys were demoralized after you squashed Tom Zink to Vader?
Okay. To be honest with you, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay.
That goes back to the first question you asked. You said, are you trying to get rid of the younger guys?
Right.
Why?
Okay.
Were they worth a shit?
Depends who.
Well, I mean, if they were good...
Right, you kept them in...
if they weren't worth a shit, I wouldn't have used them to begin with.
Gotcha.
But if they were good, why would I want to... Did I kill Tommy Rich?
No.
Well, how come? Why would I kill these guys and don't kill Tommy Rich? What did Tommy Rich have? He didn't have any kind of a body. Good-looking guy, I guess some girls would say.
Right.
But there was nothing about the guy that would make him be a wrestler. So, if you're telling me that somebody else, like a Tom Zink or who else, I was killing this guy, what the hell, why wouldn't I kill Tommy Rich?
Right.
So the idea and the theory is in the minds of some of these guys that don't know their butt from a hole in the ground.
Okay. Ric Flair tells a story on his DVD that you told him when he came back to NWA, WCW, that he was worthless because he jobbed on TV to Kurt Hennig. Is that true? Is that a true story?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Job to Kurt Hennig. Ric Flair wrote a bunch of shit in that damn book, and I guarantee you most of it was all bullshit.
All right.
Now, I haven't even read the damn book. I'm just telling you, that's Ric Flair.
I got you. When you were booking, the house show numbers fell sometimes.
What now?
When you were booking WCW,
yeah,
some of the house shows really went down in numbers. Why do you feel that happened?
I don't know what we're talking about yet.
Okay.
What houses are you talking about? When? Who was on the cards?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, let's put it this way. When Vince McMahon was taking everybody away, maybe somebody would fall down. Maybe the house shows would fall down, and they did. I brought in guys that were horrible. I had never used them before. Why would I have brought them in? Ask yourself that question. Why would I bring them in?
The guys that, well, obviously,
because I didn't have anybody.
There was no.
I had to have a body.
All right.
So I'll take your body for Christ's sake. Would I be right in taking your body and using it for wrestling? No, I'd be wrong. But what the hell else? What choice did I have?
Right.
So toward the end there in '83 and '84, if that's what they're talking about.
No, this is near the end. This is like right before they let you go.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Right. This is the.
Oh, what you talking about? '90?
Yeah, in '90.
Oh, that's bullshit. What houses went down?
Okay, that's what I was talking about.
We were averaging $25,000 every goddamn night. We were running 2 damn shows. I remember that because I told that to what's his name, Hurd.
Why did eventually?
When do you think they did that kind of money before?
They didn't.
They never did.
Right.
So what the hell was going to hell?
Why were you eventually let go?
Why? I just told you.
No, I mean, why did they let you go?
Hurd.
Yeah.
I told you. Did you not listen?
No, I listened. I just
okay. Hurd was a dummy.
Right.
And we ran into arguments, well, one anyway, because when I told him to do this and he said, no, we're going to do that.
Right.
I said, okay, just make sure that you remind yourself that you're responsible for what we're doing now. So we did what Herd wanted to do. It didn't go worth a shit. The guy that was the head guy, and I can't think of his name for crying out loud, wanted to know what happened. I wasn't there when it happened, but I was just told later on. And Herd said, well, Ole suggested this. And the guy said, well, why did it? He says, well, remember, we hired Ole to be the booker, so the booker's in charge. He was in charge. Well, that was a complete lie. I didn't know about it until like a couple days or 3 days later. And when I did, I was so damn pissed at Herd, I think I told you, I hit the goddamn...
Right, the door.
The door. Broke the damn door. And that didn't get me fired. I thought I was going to get fired, but that didn't get me fired. What got me fired was when I was in Marietta, and I was in, you've never been in Marietta, I guess, so they had some stairs there in the building that went up to the second floor, I guess it was. Anyway, but nobody ever used the damn thing. They were in the bleachers this way.
Right.
And I was in the stairs there, talking to some guy, a wrestler, and he was saying something about something that was really dumb. And I said, yeah, I know it's dumb. Who the hell do you think thought that up? I said, you think I would say something like this? He said, well, I didn't think you would. I said, well, I didn't. I said, it's that stupid-ass Jim Herd. He's the son of a bitch that came up with that crap. He's the one that's got it all f***ed up. I said, so don't get mad at me because of it. I don't have any damn choice. I'm supposed to do what Jim Herd says, and he's a damn idiot.
Was Jim there?
The guy looked up and saw Jim Herd standing at the top of the stair.
Wow. So you pretty much...
I didn't last very long after that.
So you were pretty much fired unfairly. I mean...
Huh?
You were pretty much fired unfairly.
Yes, if I'd have just shut up and listened to what Jim Herd said, he didn't care if it got screwed up. He would cover up for me.
Right.
I didn't know he was going to cover up for me. Wow. But he would cover up for me, or he would just blame me and say, well, it's one of those things, So, you can't expect Ole to get it right all the time. So he just made a little mistake there. And let's just keep on going. That's what he would have done. Because that's what he did with Dusty.
Right.
So what I thought is that he would fire my ass and blame me and let the other people think that I was the one responsible for it. So that's what would get me fired. But I don't think that's what he was looking at. I think he was looking at just doing what he wanted to do. And then not even, if it went to hell, he didn't want anybody to know it was his idea. So then he would protect you. You'd get your ass chewed out maybe by that guy. But Jim Herd wouldn't chew your ass out. See, he didn't chew my ass out when it went to hell. The other guy did.
Right.
So anyway...
When your son Brian got into the business...
say it again.
Your son Brian, when he got into the business? Bryant. Okay.
Bryant.
Okay, were you for or against it?
Sure, I was for it.
Okay. Were you surprised that Eric Bischoff let him go so soon?
No. Eric Bischoff is a piece of crap in my opinion.
Why is that?
Because he is. He wrote a letter to Turner, which got him his job, which basically said he was running everything for Verne Gagne. Verne Gagne hired Eric Bischoff to the same thing that I hired Eric Bischoff for. That was to do a little TV announcement and crap like that. But Eric Bischoff was smart enough to do something that I was incapable of doing, or didn't do, and that is suck ass. And he got a hold of this guy that I'm trying to remember, and I can't remember the goddamn guy's name is. He was he was on the Turner's board.
Do you remember the first name? I'll probably get it if you say the first name.
I can't remember the first name.
Okay.
He's the only guy that you'll find. He was on the board, Turner's board of directors.
I'll find out. But keep on going.
Anyway, if I would have just shut the hell up. What the hell was the question again?
We were talking about we were talking basically about Bryant and Eric Bischoff. You were talking about why you don't like Eric Bischoff.
Yeah, well, Eric Bischoff, like I say, was busy every day or try to do every day, go to lunch with this boss. And he was always kissing somebody's butt. And he's always talking, here, try this one. I hired a guy, he just worked for a while. God, back in 1990, what the hell was his name? He was an Italian, but can you remember anybody? It was Italian.
Paul Roma?
Who?
Paul Roma?
No, that don't sound right.
Look.
Later on, his wife, I think, joined him in managing or something.
Johnny B. Bad?
Johnny B. Bad.
Okay.
Exactly. Johnny B. Bad came in. He had been working up in New York or different places around. I don't know where the hell it was. He was making $15, $20. So I said, I'll tell you what. I'm going to give you $50,000 a year. And he didn't know what the hell to say. I said, if you do real well and draw money, I'll up it. If you don't draw money, you're out of here. He was so happy that I would give him $50,000. Jim Herd and this other guy, and I can't think of his... No,
I'll get his name, don't worry. Harvey Schiller?
Who?
Harvey Schiller?
No.
Okay.
I know a guy who I think has got the same damn name, used to play football, lives in Tacoma, can't think of his name now either. Oh, golly. Anyway, whoever this guy was on the board brought me, who's the guy we're talking again?
Bischoff?
What's his name?
Eric Bischoff? Jim Herd?
No, the wrestler.
Oh, Johnny B. Bad.
Johnny B. Bad.
Right.
What was his real name?
Mark Marrow.
Mark Marrow. They called me and Mark Marrow into the office. And this big important director on the board said, I want you to listen, and listen good. Because we're going to make one deal, and it's a take it or leave it situation.
Bill Shaw. Was it Bill Shaw?
Bill Shaw.
There you go.
Bill Shaw. That's who it was. You're right, Bill Shaw. And that's the guy, the football player, too. He played, his name was Shaw. But anyway, Bill Shaw said, I'm going to make you an offer. It's a take it or leave it deal. If you don't like it, then fine. All right? So Mark Marrow was sitting there, and I'm sitting there listening. I'd already made the deal with Mark Marrow for $50,000.
Right.
Bill Shaw says, we'll give you $280,000. Plus we'll pay for your motel, hotels, whatever. Pay for your car anywhere you need a car. Pay for your airplane tickets. I went, how dumb can that bastard be? He said, it's a take it or leave it deal.
Huh.
And I looked at Mark because Mark was pissed at me now.
Right.
Because he wondered why I didn't make a deal like that with him.
Right.
And I looked at Mark and I said, you make up your goddamn mind. He's not shitting around. He wants his answer right now. And Mark went, okay, I'll take it.
Yeah.
And Mark got up and left, and I sat there with Bill Shaw for a few minutes. And Bill Shaw said, now that's how you make a deal. And I didn't say nothing.
Wow.
And a week after that, I made a deal with a guy that played football out in Colorado. Who was it?
Vader?
Vader. Very good. Yeah, Vader. What's his real name?
Leon White. Leon White?
Yeah, okay.
Are you testing me, or did you really not know?
Huh?
Are you testing me with all these questions?
No,
I didn't know.
Forget it. I
okay.
forget it.
It's okay. I didn't know.
No. So Leon White, I just hired him. I was using him like once every 2 or 3 weeks. I paid him $600 every time he came in. So now we're up in Chicago, I think it was. And what's his name? What's the first guy you named that I used to work for? What's his name? No. He worked for Turner. The guy that I hated.
Bischoff.
No, not Bischoff.
Kip Fry.
Oh, God. He worked for Bill Shaw. He was
Okay.
below Bill Shaw. Jim Herd.
Jim Herd.
Jim Herd was in Chicago, and he watched this guy, Van Vader.
Right.
And he didn't know what the hell to do. Has he signed him the contract? I said, yeah. And again, I can't remember exactly what was going on. But Van Vader, Leon White, was working for me for $600. That was it. Win, lose, draw, didn't make a damn. $600 damn. I can't remember exactly. I can be close. I gave him a contract for somewhere around $350,000 or $60,000. And Shaw, and who's the other guy again?
Jim Herd.
Jim Herd. Thought that was a stroke of genius. I was sure that Jim Herd was going to come in, grab a hold of my shoulders and say, "You stupid son of a bitch, what the f*** are you doing?" And you know what he said to me? "Now you're learning. You're doing a hell of a job."
It's crazy. That's why they went out of business, basically.
Well, when Eric Bischoff took over, he gave these guys all kinds of goddamn contracts.
Right.
But I started the damn thing.
Do you think the contracts killed WCW?
No, they didn't have any business no matter what they were going to do. If they didn't pay them any money, they still wouldn't make any money.
Right. Getting back to you and your son Brian, Jim Cornette has says that Bryant. That's what I said. Jim Cornette has said that you and Bryant got fired because you did business with him on WCW's property. Is that true?
I got fired because Eric Bischoff was running everything. Eric Bischoff fired me, fired Greg Gagne. Greg Gagne didn't have nothing to do with what's his face.
Right.
He fired who was the guy, little guy from Tennessee that wrestled?
Lawler.
Who?
Bill Dundee.
Bill Dundee.
Right.
He fired Bill Dundee. He fired Greg Gagne. He fired my son, and he fired me. Then he fired somebody else. Very important. Who did he fire?
This was man. Go ahead.
Jim Barnett.
Okay.
He fired Jim Barnett. So it's got nothing to do with anything else that they're talking about. Eric Bischoff wanted to take over, and that's what he ended up doing. He took over, and he ran the damn thing until they went out of business.
In Bischoff's book, he actually said that Blackjack Mulligan. He said that Blackjack Mulligan ratted you out. I guess to Bischoff for talking about him behind his back. Do you have any?
Yeah. What happened? Eric Bischoff made it clear to everybody that if they heard something about me or I said something, they were immediately to let him know, whoever it was. So Blackjack Mulligan and I were at the little training center we had. And we were working with 12, 13 guys, whatever it was, trying to break them into the business. Which is a waste of time and stupid to begin with, but in any event, that's what we were doing. And I said to, one of the guys was from Sweden or some damn place. I forgot what his name was. Could wrestle a little bit. And anyway, that guy from Sweden, I think it was Sweden or maybe Norway, I don't know, one of those damn, not Finland, but Sweden.
Right.
He said, "Listen, how would you like to come to Sweden or whichever country?" I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "I think we can put together a damn good deal up there where I can get some people who got some money and we can promote wrestling up there." I said, "I'll tell you what, you find somebody that's got $2 million, I'll go. Then put up another how many millions of dollars you got to have, because the $2 million is for me. I'll go, and I'll do whatever you think you want done. You line up." He says, "I'll line it all up." He said, "Don't worry, I'll line it all up." The guy that heard it was
Blackjack Mulligan.
Blackjack Mulligan. What a stupid bunch of shit. Blackjack Mulligan couldn't wait to get a hold of Eric Bischoff to tell him that Ole was planning on taking talent to go to Norway or Sweden or where the hell ever and run wrestling.
Right.
Like, what difference would it fucking make if I did it anyway? What the hell would it,
Right.
It got nothing to do with the people over here in the United States. Well, anyway, that was Eric Bischoff's reason, or a reason, supposedly, to fire my ass. But that wasn't the real reason. He just didn't want me because I would say stuff about all kinds of shit.
Right.
And he was in charge. And like I say, he fired me, he fired Bill Dundee, he fired, who else did I say? Greg Gagne. And then he ended up firing Jim Barnett.
Jim Barnett.
What was Jim Barnett trying to do? Nothing.
What was Jim Barnett doing at the company at the time? What was he?
Nothing.
What was his role?
Nothing.
Huh.
He was getting paid by Ted Turner because Ted Turner felt sorry for him.
Right.
And Ted Turner had enough money he was throwing around anyway. What's the difference?
Wow. What promoted you to write a book? What made you write a book?
Stupidity.
You regret it?
I thought, only to the extent that it's a book that's honest, it's true, and it's pretty much speaking exactly the way I feel. And people look at it as though, I guess I'm bullshitting, or I don't know what they think. And I said to a lot of people, I said, when you look at wrestling and you name all the guys in wrestling, I always ask them, I've always asked you this already, what do they have in common? Well, everybody says, well, they're all wrestlers. I said, yeah, but they all work for me. Now, what do you want to do? Take a book from a guy that worked for me? Or do you want the guy that told this guy what the hell to do?
Right.
Which book do you think would be more accurate about whatever?
Yeah, he was.
So I thought when I first wrote the damn book, McFoley had written one before that. And I don't know if I'm second, but there weren't too many books then. So I thought this would be an opportunity for me to go ahead and tell them about wrestling, the way I knew it, the truth, which is mine, and that's it. Well, what I didn't know is that even guys that work for me, a lot of them didn't even know I was the damn booker, if you can believe that. How does that make any sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
No. A lot of guys thought that Barnett was telling me what the hell to do.
And you were the...
And then I was just a goddamn relay. I said, well, then Barnett has to be one of the most stupid son of a bitches in the world. He said, well, what do you say that for? I said, why the f*** would Barnett know what to do and just tell me, and then because I just relayed that message, give me $250,000? Does that make any sense to you, you stupid...
All right.
Oh, pardon me.
Oh, you're allowed to curse on there. You're allowed to curse.
So it was just so amazing to me that people could be that damn dumb. And like I said, some of the guys who are working for me, Bobby Heenan would be a good example. He thought that Barnett did every damn thing.
What are your thoughts on Bobby?
Bobby Heenan hates my guts. Bobby Heenan, I got him in here from Minnesota with Blackjack Lanza. I wanted somebody different. And Blackjack Lanza wanted Bobby Heenan to come down with him. Well, I known Bobby Heenan, because I had broken in Minnesota. Didn't know him real well, but I knew who he was. And I normally didn't like managers. That was just too much bullshit. I didn't like it. But Bobby Heenan, okay. So I took them both. And Blackjack said, we want to go back in September. I brought them down in like June, and they were going to go back in September. Don't ask me what year, I've forgotten. And I said, well, okay. So I'm just going to use them. That's what I wanted. I just wanted somebody for the summertime. So summertime came and went. And I quit booking Blackjack Lanza, and I quit booking Bobby Heenan. Because I thought they were going back to Minnesota.
Right.
What I didn't know, and I didn't find out until several years later, and that came from Bill Eadie. You know who that is?
Yeah. Master Superstar.
Bill Eadie said, Bobby Heenan's pissed at you forever. I said, yeah, I guess so. What the hell's the matter? He says, well, believe it or not, he said, Bobby Heenan was mad at you because you got rid of him with Blackjack Lanza. I said, well, that was the deal. He said, no. He said he had gotten married, I guess, and bought a house or some damn thing, and he wanted to stay. And Bill Eadie said to me, he told Bobby Heenan, don't bitch about it. Just go to Ole. He's an asshole. He's a mean son of a bitch. But go and talk to him and let him know what you're talking about. And let him know what the situation is. And I bet he'll let you stay. And that's the truth. I said I would have. I would have said, fine, stay here, Bobby. But I didn't know. I thought he was going with Blackjack Lanza. I had no idea that he had gotten married or had a house. I had no idea. So Bobby Heenan's been pissed at me ever since.
Let's call him. We can make up. He's sick right now anyway. So.
No, good. I see. Once he did that, I just said piss on it. I don't give a shit. Some guys I can make up to. I've done it with several different people. I said I apologize because I was an asshole. But there's guys that were just completely stupid and didn't know what the hell they were doing and what they were talking about. And Bobby is a good example. Somebody told me that they read a book that he wrote or whatever and said they didn't think I ever made more than $700 a week or some damn shit. I forgot what it said.
Right.
No, I didn't make $700 a week. I made $5,000 a week.
Do you think you and Rick could ever bird the hatchet or no?
No.
Okay. What about when they did the Horseman DVD, WWE and Vince put it out? Did they ever contact you to appear on the DVD?
Yeah.
And you turned it down?
Yeah, they were going to come out to my house and everything. Didn't cost me a dime. And they were going to give me $1,500 or something like that.
Right.
What the hell do I want $1,500 for?
Wasn't there a story behind that as far as you taking money from Vince because you didn't want to take a penny from him? Because
he told me I'd never work in wrestling again. And I asked the guy that was talking to me. Yeah, that's the story.
Right.
I asked the guy, I said, you working for Vince? He says, well, yeah, I guess. I said, good. Vince said, I'd never make a dime in this goddamn business again. I said, why are you going to give me $1,500? Isn't that Vince giving it to me? He said, well, I guess. I said, good. Well, I don't want to make him a goddamn liar. I said, I'm not going to take his money.
That's a great story. And did they even contact you about doing, I guess, an appearance at his retirement ceremony they did after WrestleMania recently, or did they pretty much not contact you, knowing that?
They contacted me to do the retirement thing. It was down in Miami or not Miami. It was in Florida, wasn't it?
I think so. I forgot.
Yeah, they contacted me about that, and I said no.
You just wanted the payday or anything. Okay. Are you surprised WCW went out of business after it finally went out, or did you see the writing on the wall?
Well, what's WCW? Stop and ask yourself. It's just 3 letters.
Right.
So if I put WCW on your pants and you sit on your pants all day long and nobody sees it, what good is it doing me or anybody? So the point is, WCW is nothing except 3 damn letters. And if the letters don't represent anything, then what's a surprise if they don't do anything? I mean, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, totally, yeah. Okay. What's your favorite angle that you ever booked?
No such thing as that. In order to be a good booker and be able to do angles or whatever you want to do, you got to come up with an angle all the time. Some guys were really stupid and wrote those angles down. Stupid bastards. How dumb could they be? You don't write that shit down. If your brain doesn't work well enough to be able to come up with whatever you need right now, and that's all you're doing. And I got this from Eddie Graham. He said you got to come up with 1,000 or 100 or whatever it might have to be. You got to come up with it right now. You got to think. You got to put your brains together, and you got to work at it. And everything is different. Every situation is different. So if you're not able to do it that way, just forget about it. Go do something else. Get a job, shoveling dirt someplace. And I understood that, and I appreciate. He told me that after I was in business for a couple of years, and I said, that sounds exactly right, and it was. So there's no way to know what your greatest angle was because, and I remember a few, in the sense that I remember a little bit about this, a little bit that.
Well, what do you think drew you the most money?
Well, a lot of them did. When you sell out the Omni every week and you sell out the auditorium every week, what the hell do you call that?
Success.
Hello?
Success.
Well, yeah, that's all there is to it. Oh, stop and ask yourself this question, real simple. Barnett hired me. Before he hired me, he had Dewey Tillett, then he had Harley Race, then he hired Tom Ernesto. After Tom Ernesto, he fired Tom Ernesto to hire me. He kept me until 1979, 1980, and I quit. I just said I had it. I quit. He hired Bill Watts. He had Bill Watts for a month or 2. I don't know why they split, but they split. And Barnett called me up and he said, Boney, would you come back to work? And I've been freezing my ass off in Minnesota. I was working on my sawmill and all that crap. And I said, yeah. And Barnett offered me, I forgot what the hell it was, something like $2,700 or $2,800 a week.
Right.
Booking fee, plus main events, plus 5% of everything up in Michigan. In other words, I was making money. And so I came back. And he offered to fly me home every weekend, which I took him up on. Well, of course, that was the shits because he didn't see me over the weekend. And I wasn't anywhere around over the weekend. So that really caused problems with the business. So then he said, well, listen, I need to get somebody to help you. And we talked about this guy already. Fuller. What was the young kid's name?
Robert Fuller?
Robert Fuller. He said, I want you to go with me down to Panama and talk to Robert Fuller. I said, for what, Jim? He says, well, I want to get Robert Fuller, see if he can help you do the booking. And that way you can go and somebody will still be here to watch it. So we went down there to see Robert Fuller. On the way back, Barnett said, well, I think that worked out very well. Now you can go home every weekend and I'll fly you back and Robert Fuller can take care. I said, Jim, I'll tell you what. You just hire Robert Fuller. And I left again.
Right.
So we had Robert Fuller for, well, somewhere like January or February of 1981, I guess it would have been. And he hired the guy that just got fired in the Carolinas, George Scott. And the Carolinas called me up to book George Scott's spot. I think I'm right on the time frame, but who the hell knows? Maybe I'm screwed up. But anyhow, George Scott worked for Barnett for like 5 or 6 months. And Barnett came up to the Carolinas and said, Ole, would you please book George again? I was already booking Crockett. And I thought, God, what a job that's going to be. But I wanted to try it. I said, okay. So I came back down to work for Barnett. So here you got Tom Renesto, he got rid of. Here you got Harley Race, he got rid of. Here you got Louis Toletti, he got rid of. Here you got Bill Watts, something happened. And now he had George Scott, who was supposed to be the genius of all geniuses, but he wasn't.
Huh.
That's my opinion.
Right.
So I guess everybody thinks I'm an asshole because but anyway. So I tried to book both damn territories at the same time. I had over 100 guys working for me. I think I've said it before. You try to put 100 guys into 5 different towns every fucking night and see how you do. You won't even get the names right.
Burn out, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just, and make the damn towns draw money.
Right.
Coming up with angles, coming up with finishes, coming up with all kinds of shit that goes with the damn booking.
Now, you weren't able to exchange talent, obviously, because of the contracts and all that, right?
Huh?
Were you able to bring talent from the other territories in and exchange it with Crockett down with Georgia guys, or no?
Oh yeah, I did both territories, so I do what I'm doing.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, territories for the George doesn't make a difference.
Right.
I was running both territories.
Okay.
So any guys were available.
Okay.
Didn't make it. I put them where I want to put them.
Gotcha.
But I did that for 9 months or whatever it was, and I was going crazy. And Jim Crockett was a little pissed off because I wasn't here all the time, because I was down in Florida, down in Georgia sometimes. And Barnett was smart enough to know that eventually, maybe Jim Crockett was going to be pissed because I was not there every day, and I wasn't. I wasn't there several days out of the week. And so Jim Crockett said, "I want to make a change. I'm going to let you go." And he hired who?
Dusty.
No, Dory.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, just hit me. And Dory didn't know his ass from a hole in the ground either. And I went back to Barnett. My point that I'm trying to make is that Barnett hired me all the damn time, even when I left, even when I quit.
You want
Yeah, why?
success?
That's
Track
it.
record, right.
That's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. If I wouldn't have been successful at what I was doing, he'd have never talked to me. Because he fired all his other guys
Right.
and kept on hiring me every time I quit.
What do you think's wrong with today's business?
With what?
Today's business, the wrestling business.
Today's business?
Do you still follow it at all? Do you watch it or no?
No, I don't watch
Okay.
this shit, no.
You're not missing much.
Well, I just got through talking to Rip Paulk here a few hours ago. And he and I both agree. It'll never be like it was. Why? Because these guys don't have any idea what the hell they're doing.
It's a lost art, right?
Yep, surely. I was in the ring 4, 5, 6 years ago with Eric Watts, Bill's son.
Yep.
And there was about 14, 15 guys out there that were just learning about wrestling. They'd already been smartened up and told wrestling was a bunch of shit. Okay?
Right.
And they're watching. And Eric and I were in a ring. And I got a hold of Eric, and I said a couple things to him. I said, "Did your dad teach you anything, you stupid son of a bitch?" I said, "God damn it, if you don't learn how to do it, I'm going to kick your ass, okay?" I locked up with him again. I said, "Damn it." I said, "You can't be that stupid." I don't remember what I was saying.
Right.
Well, finally, I just said, "You're the dumbest shit in the world," or whatever I'd have said. And I hit him, and I knocked him down, and I took him around like this, and I had hold of him like this, and I was ripping his damn head off. And those guys that were all around the ring one or two of them started to get up in the ring, but they weren't sure what to do. And I let go of Eric. He got up, and I looked at these guys. I said, "Did you believe it?" And every one of those guys thought it was a shoot.
That's awesome.
And Eric was laughing. I said, "You see, now everybody can't wrestle the way I do. But somebody in this damn building has got to believe something that they see. I think, in order for it to be successful. Would you want to go to a football game and know that that team is going to win by 5 points? What the fuck would be the point of going?
Right.
Would you want to go to a basketball team and know that this team is going to win by 2 baskets or whatever it might be? What's the point of going? So I said, wrestling is the same. People deny it. They say, oh, no, wrestling's a bunch of shit. And I had people, even, well, not so much anymore, but used to, they'd say, you know what, Ole? We watched wrestling for years and years, and that first match was, the second match was really, it was obviously fake.
But yours was real.
Yeah.
Yep.
But when you guys went out there to wrestle, that was real wrestling.
Huh.
Now, the funny thing about that is every now and then there was a real match. And I can tell you about one match that was halfway interesting. Guy was a bodybuilder from California, flew in. I don't remember his name anymore. If you go find a bodybuilder from California that flew in back in I don't even know what the hell the year would have been. 74 or maybe 75, I'm not quite sure. 75 maybe, I'm not sure. Anyway, the guy thought he was pretty damn good. And so I got a hold of his partner.
Right.
And I said, listen, we're going to be pretty goddamn rough on you in the ring. I said, we're not going to hurt you, but we're going to be pretty rough. I said, you work your ass off. Don't worry, you ain't going to get away from us. There's no way you can get away from me and Gene. We'll hang on to you. I said, but after 10 or 15 minutes or whatever it might be, when I think it's right, you just work your ass off, fight like a son of a bitch, and you finally tag that guy. And when you tag the guy, you turn around and you sit in the corner and just say, fuck them goddamn Anderson brothers. Okay?
Right.
So we got the guy in the ring. We worked on him, and Gene likes to beat the shit out of guys just a little bit, so he'd be kind of tough. And I was really stiff with the guy. Okay. And the guy was fighting. Of course, he'd get all tired out, so I'd say, well, listen, just relax. Okay, you ready? Ready? That's okay. Fight your back. Fight hard again. Gene and I would tag back and forth, and the guy'd finally just wear out, real quick. Fucking 30 seconds a minute, he'd be tired. So finally, it got to the point where the people were just anxious to have this partner, this muscle-bound guy who was stretching over trying to tag, come in the ring and kick the crap out of me and Gene. So I said, now we're going. Fight your butt off. You make the tag, and don't forget, sit in the damn corner and just swear like hell and say those Andersons. The guy fought, and he just barely made the tag. The kid just sat in the damn corner like that, said whatever he was going to say, and I was waiting for this guy, the bodybuilder, to jump over the top rope or do something like that. You know what he did? He held the ropes like that, he wouldn't come in. The referee said, hey, and I reached over to crotch the guy, and I took him off. He was still hanging on the ropes. I got him in the ring. I was standing up in the ring with him,
right.
But he was hanging on the ropes like this. And the referee grabbed a hold of his hands, and I guess he let go as well as the referee grabbed a hold of him. And I slammed him right there in the middle of the ring. And he just laid there like this, and he just curled up like a guy, like in a fetal position.
Right.
And I covered the guy, and that's it. The referee went 1, 2, 3, and that was it. The guy left the territory. He was gone.
Wow. I was going to ask you 2 other guys before we wrap this up. Austin Idol, what are your feelings of working with Austin?
It's too long ago. I knew him as, what was his real name?
Oh, I don't remember.
He worked with us here back in 74, I think it was, when Louis Thesz was here.
You guys did the angle with him, Kevin Sullivan, and the Freebirds.
Shoot.
With the 4 flat tires?
Hell, I don't remember.
Okay. What memories of the Freebirds?
Huh?
Memories of the Freebirds, Terry Gordy and Michael Hayes?
Terry Gordy was okay. Michael Hayes was an asshole.
Why is that?
He thought he knew everything. He told me, he said, this is the 90s. He said that wrestling back in the 60s and 70s, that's gone. He said people don't want that anymore. I said, let me ask you this question. When you get a carpenter, are you going to tell me that being level or being plumb don't count anymore? They've been doing it for thousands of years. So what makes you think that it's different now with wrestling? The question is the wrestling that you want to do, is that going to draw money or isn't it going to draw money? If it does, then do whatever you want to do. And unfortunately, Vince McMahon has done some crap that apparently has drawn some money. But there's also a lot of doggone shows that he's gone to that haven't drawn a dime. They've just papered the damn building.
Right.
And stop and think about it this way. 30 years ago, how many people went to wrestling here in Georgia every month? I already told you, 60,000 people, give or take.
Right.
How many people went to wrestling in Florida?
Right.
How many people are going now? Nothing.
It's true. What's the biggest misconception about Ole Anderson?
I don't have any idea.
Any regrets?
No, I understand that I was running stuff and I knew I wanted to do it the way I wanted to do it. And if they didn't like it that way, they could just get fired and be gone. When you talk about the guys that worked for me that made money, like a Stan Hansen or a wrestling number 2 or wrestling number 1 before he died, and all those guys made $90,000 or $100,000, what's wrong with that? What guy that was making $100,000 would say, "You son of a bitch, Ole Anderson"? Who would say that?
Right.
If they had a brain, they wouldn't say that. Stan Hansen calls me up all the time and tells me, "You're the guy." And I didn't agree with him a lot of times either. But he wanted to do the one thing I wanted to do. He wanted to make money. So what else counts? And if I could make a guy money, yeah, he might be pissed off because I swore at him or I might have done something stupid. But the fact that he was making $100,000, I guess we forgive Ole, don't we?
Right.
The guys that are talking about me, I'm guessing, for the most part, never made a dime. I never paid him a dime. And the question would be then, where did they ever make any money? If they never made any money anywhere, then what do you got? You got a guy that couldn't make any money. That's
right.
it. If they made $1 million in some other territory, why didn't they just stay there? But they came here. Why? Because they were trying to make money here. And if I didn't make any money for them, the question is not, did they make any money or did I make money for them? The question is, could they draw anybody to be able to make any money? And if they couldn't draw anybody, that's why they didn't make any money.
Right.
So why be pissed at me because I didn't pay them any money? They didn't. Should have gone to Texas then. Would Texas have made them a lot of money? Well, if they did, they should have gone to Texas to make money. Or they should have gone to Bill Watts. Or they should have gone to Verne Gagne. Or they should have gone to New York. Or they should have... Eddie Graham. They could have gone anywhere. Why just blame me because they didn't make any money? They could have gone to Tennessee. Why would they just blame me because they didn't make any money? No. I guarantee you they didn't make any money any damn place.
In closing,
yes?
Is there anything you want to say to your wrestling fans that you might not have had a chance to say to?
I've gotten older in my old age. Just nicer guy. Come to the fan fest like we're doing right now, or going to be doing. And a lot of people think that I was an asshole all my life. Probably pretty true. But they were a little bit surprised to realize, look on the internet. You'll see stuff about this fan fest down here. Look at it last year. They wrote volumes about, they said they were so surprised to be able to talk to Ole Anderson and ask him questions. And anyway, the best or biggest thing I think I can say to the fans is thank you very much for a wonderful career that I've had. And without fans, I wouldn't have had anything. So thank you.
Thanks for being here today with us.